We're back. We're back. We're back. We're back. I told you guys I was going to go live for schedule day. Huge day today for the New York Giants. Huge day today for the NFL. When all the prognosticators come out, they see the schedule. Half the Giants fan base saw the schedule today, and according to them, the season's over. It's done. Giants are dead. Last year, we all came out. We looked at the schedule. We said this is the easiest schedule of all time, and Lions ended up being tougher. Jaguars ended up being tougher. You can only look so much at a schedule. Did Roger Goodell do the New York Giants a lot of favors? No, he didn't. We'll talk about it throughout the live stream as the schedule came out today for the New York Giants. We knew that it was going to be a more challenging schedule this year. We knew we were going to be facing what are perceived to be tougher opponents going into the year. You can't really tell what a schedule is going to look like before the year starts. Last year, people thought the Denver Broncos were a Super Bowl contender. Last year, people thought the Titans were a playoff team. Last year, people thought the Green Bay Packers were a Super Bowl contender. How did that work out? Last year, people thought the New York Giants, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Detroit Lions were roadkill. How did that work out? The year before, nobody thought Cincinnati was going to go to the Super Bowl. That's the beauty of the NFL, unpredictability. And last year, the New York Giants were certainly one of the most unpredictable teams in the NFL. And this year, I feel no differently about my expectations going into the year about this New York Giants football team based off the schedule that came out. Is it going to be a challenge? Sure. I still think we're going to the playoffs. Stand up! New York Giant fans. What's going on there, Wagner Man? What's going on there, Matthew Stein? What's going on there, Ramiro? What's going on there, Donovan Man? Thanks for popping in the stream. JD in the chat, man. What's going on? Q-Dog in the chat. What's going on? Thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate all you guys. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the offseason. Ryan D in the chat. Tyler in the chat. Amazing guy says Knicks at 7. We got to get to 7 first. But they showed grit. At least they won game 5. Didn't get embarrassed on the home floor. Going to be tough in Miami. We'll see. Jalen Brunson played 48 minutes. Didn't get a rest. So we'll see. But, if they win game 6, things will get interesting at the Garden for game 7. And Donovan says, correct. Yeah, we'll go over the schedule. And listen, we knew going in that it was going to be tough or tougher just based off the teams we're playing. We're playing the Bills. We're playing the 49ers. Obviously, we play our division, the Eagles, the Cowboys. I'm going to start with week 1, guys, and we're going to pull up the schedule in a couple of minutes. But I'm going to start with week 1. I don't think week 1, and I know we're going to complain about the rest of the schedule, I don't think week 1 could have played out better for the New York Giants than it did. I don't think it could have played out any better. And people are going to hear that comment. They're going to say, what are you talking about, Chris? Dallas is really good. Well, we got to play Dallas no matter what. We've got to play Dallas no matter what. They're in the division. We play them twice a year. If you would have said to me, Chris, before the schedule came out, what would be your ideal week 1 opponent? It would have been the Dallas Cowboys home week 1. Let me explain. First off, that's what this year's about for me. It's about a barometer to see how much the New York Giants have grown from within the NFC East. Last year, we got destroyed from within the division. Destroyed. We went 1-4-1. Should have went 2-4. Should have beat Washington, but we tied. And no matter what the score said against Dallas, they killed us. They killed us up at the point of attack both games that we played. The Eagles destroyed us. So this season, for me as a fan, what I'm looking for is growth from this football team is how we play from within the division. You get them at home, week 1. You get them when you have to think we're relatively healthy, being that we haven't played a game yet. And you get the Dallas Cowboys, their first game in a new offensive system. They lost their offensive play caller over the offseason. Could there be a little bit of rust week 1? So if you would have said, Chris, what is your dream scenario week 1 going into the year? I would have said the Dallas Cowboys because it's a game we need to win. It's at home. And if we win that game, that sets the tone for the rest of the year. The goal this year has to be to go at least 3-3 in the division. If they're able to beat Dallas week 1 and then go to Arizona, I think that sets the tone for the rest of the year. That is a gigantic game to start the year. But I actually like the way that it played out to start the year with the schedule. It gets sloppy after that, and we'll talk about it throughout the stream. But I think we stand a good chance of that game, and I'm really looking forward to going up against the Dallas Cowboys. Jack says, still can't believe we got Banks, Jameis, and Hyatt. Listen, we knocked the draft out of the park. I mean, we won't know for another 3 or 4 years, but based off of how these players were valued going into the draft, you got 3 guys who many felt could be first-round picks with our first 3 picks. I mean, we could talk about the draft for days. There's really no point in bragging about it. It's over. It's kind of like what Joe Shane said. You celebrate for about 2 or 3 days, and then reality kicks in. And then you realize that these guys have to produce. And you'll judge this draft class 3 or 4 years from now. Obviously, you're going to have people that flip out the second that Jalen Hyatt drops a pass or the second that JMS lets up a sack to the Eagles up the middle, the first time that we play them or the Cowboys or whatever. But you got to give these guys 3 or 4 years before you fully evaluate a rookie class. I think last year shows that more than anything. Dexter Lawrence, Andrew Thomas, so on and so forth. But I'm excited. I love Eric Gray, I think, is an underrated pick too. I think he's going to be a big-time contributor for this team. Maybe not so much this year, but long-term, I think he could be a really nice running back for the New York Giants. And I do think he'll have a role this year in the backfield, something that we needed. We needed more depth. So I love the rookie draft class for the Giants. I love what we did in the offseason. I can't wait to see the run defense. That might be what I'm more excited about than anything else. How much better the run defense got. Because we were pitiful last year in that department. Now, I think it's become our biggest strength on the defensive side of the ball. So I can't wait till this team laces them up week 1 against the Dallas Cowboys. I can't wait. The A says, I think we go 4-2 in division, split with Dallas and Philly, especially in New York week 18. We own Washington until further notice. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't respect the Eagles. They're disgusting. Their fans are disgusting. Their city's disgusting. They're horrible people. But I respect their football team. They went to the Super Bowl. They killed us every time they played us last year when it mattered. It was backups the last week of the season. But if you were going to get the Eagles this year, yeah, you would think week 18 may make the most sense. It didn't mean anything for us this past year, so we kind of rested our starters too. But if it's in a situation where the New York Giants absolutely need that game and the Eagles take a similar approach to what they did last year, if they have everything wrapped up, they have their seed wrapped up, yeah, we stand a better chance to beat them. And at the end of the day, it's about getting into the dance. So, yeah, that may play out well for us. Saddam, what's going on? Why is everybody saying LOL? Am I muted? Jonathan, what's going on, man? Giants bringing back the legacy jerseys. If so, I think it's time for my second Giants jersey, which will be the same player, Saquon. I haven't bought it yet. I already know my next Giants jersey, and it's a player that's been on the team. By the way, his contract details came out. I heard that there may be an adjustment. It's why I haven't talked about it yet. Dan Duggan said that, I think, yesterday on Twitter. So it's why I haven't made a video on it. But Dexter Lawrence's contract details came out. I saw that yesterday on Spot Track. They didn't really get too creative with it. They didn't get cute with it. It's pretty much an even distribution of the money. It's like $21 million a year against the cap, at least as it stands now. Of course, you could always get creative with that, right? Like you could backload the money next year if you want to, right? If you want to free up some salary cap space for the 2024 season. And I'm going to tell you what, that's going to happen. I don't know who they're going to do it with, but if the Giants have a pretty good year this year and they win 9-10 games and they feel like they want to compete going into 2024, they have a lot of options. Obviously, Daniel Jones going $45 million against the cap. He's only 31 the next year. When the cap accelerates, they could move some of his money around. They could move some of Dexter Lawrence's money around. You could always move money around to make it work. So I'm not worried about the cap. Everybody was, going crazy about that. I'm just glad that they locked Dexter Lawrence up long-term. Guy that obviously needed to be here long-term. And now the next guy is obviously going to be Andrew Thomas. And I think that was a great deal. We knew that they had to get Dexter Lawrence done. The deal doesn't kick until next year when the salary cap goes up even higher. So I'm in love with that move. And that's going to be the jersey that I'm buying. That's going to be my next jersey. Sexy Dexy. I got to buy. I love them. My description of the Eagles. Yeah, they're disgusting. They're pathetic. They're pathetic. I don't care. I don't care that they go to the Super Bowl. They got a really good football team. I don't care that 20% of this fan base bows down to them and says, no, they're the Eagles. I hate the Eagles. I'll always hate the Eagles. Ryan D says we need Saquon. Saquon's coming back. I'm not even worried about it. He's coming back. It's just a matter of is it going to be on the tag or is it going to be on a contract extension? But I think they're going to get a contract extension done. I just don't know, the specifics. I've talked about what I think it's going to be, but I'm not a fortune teller. I don't work for the New York Giants. I just try to think logically and say, well, this kind of makes sense for both sides. So I think he's going to be back. I think they're going to get a fair extension done. Barkley's not going to get what he wants. He's going to have to come down on it, but I expect Barkley to be in a New York Giants uniform, and I expect it to be on an extension. What's going on there, King Trizzy, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. With the schedule, you need Saquon. We need Saquon with or without the schedule. Let's get into the schedule. Let's talk about the schedule. All right, so this was like the headline, right? Before we jump into a game-by-game basis, this was the headline with the schedule, and everybody's going crazy. New York Giants, first 10 games, 7 on the road. And there's a 9-game span in which all 7 of those games are on the road, right? Because obviously the first game against the Dallas Cowboys is at home. Their next 9 games, 7 are on the road. That is the first time in the history of the NFL that's ever happened. Ever. Where a team opened up their first 10 games and 7 games were on the road. And now you're hearing conspiracy theories and it's probably true. Doesn't it always seem like outside of last year, and you didn't hear a lot of Giants fans complaining last year when it looked like we had a pretty favorable schedule, right? Because you think back to last year's schedule, I think we only played one true road game in like our first 6 games, if I'm not mistaken, because obviously a neutral field game, which technically was a road game for us, but it wasn't really a road game against the Green Bay Packers when we went to London. You didn't hear a lot of New York Giants fans complaining about the schedule last year. But it always does seem like the New York Giants get the run to the stick. But you're hearing a lot of people saying, because John Mara came out, talked about, Thursday Night Football and how he was upset with the commissioner and everything else, that they may have screwed the New York Giants with the schedule. Who knows? The way I look at it is, listen, I think we're going to be battle tested. And we finished the year with 5 home games out of our last 7. We knew it was going to be more challenging this year in terms of the schedule, in terms of the breakdown of the schedule. Last year, we had 9 home games. We had 8 road games, meaning this year we're going to have 9 road games and 8 home games. And on top of that, we have a neutral field game that counts as a home game against the New York Jets. So we only really have, 7 true home games, a neutral field game, and 9 road games. So it's kind of the opposite of last year, where we had 9 home games, 1 neutral field game, and 6 road games, right? So, or 7 road games, whatever it is. So it's kind of the opposite. What goes around comes around. Do I love the way that it was distributed? No. I wish there was another home game sprinkled in there at the beginning. It is what it is. New York Giants are going to have to find a way to overcome it. I think they can. Brian Daboll, I think he's a damn good head coach. And I don't look at all these teams on the schedule and say to them, and I'm shaking in my boots. Let's pull it up. I mean, it's not like these teams are like world beaters. So, I mean, we definitely play some good teams. I'm not saying that we don't. Cowboys, week 1. I talked about the reasons that I like the Cowboys week 1. I think it's as good of that's the best time to play them for all the reasons that I talked about at the top of the stream. We have to play them, whether it be week 1, week 4, week 6, week 17. So we know that. And that's when I'd want to play them, especially with it being at home. Week 2, Arizona Cardinals. Let's talk about that team. They don't got Kyler Murray, right? Kyler Murray's not going to be playing to start the year. So I look at that. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm too optimistic. I look at our first 2 games. Why can't we go 2-0? Why can't we go 2-0? Right? I like Arizona stinks. Ryan, thank you very much, man. I appreciate the $5 donation, man. I appreciate it. Arizona stinks. And if you beat Dallas at home, and I know we haven't beaten Dallas since 2016 with Dak Prescott as the quarterback. I get all that. It's year 2 with Brian Daboll. This is a much better football team. We're at home. First game in a new system offensively. Giants, they're very familiar with both of their schemes. Brian Daboll, very smart head coach, has all offseason to prepare for that game. We saw the game plan he came out with against a team that many felt, myself included, was going to beat us pretty bad last year to start the year against the Tennessee Titans. Why can't we beat the Dallas Cowboys? I see no reason why we can't beat the Dallas Cowboys at home. And if we win that, easily could start 2-0. I don't think, especially without Kyler Murray. He's not very good. So, and then, there's a tough stretch. There is a tough stretch, right? After that, you've got the 49ers. Now, the 49ers won't have Purdy, Darnold, or Lance. I don't know who it's going to be, but they won't have Purdy. Seattle, home. They're traveling across the country. Let me ask the chat. Is it crazy that I think we could start 3-1? Is that crazy? I think 2-2 at worst. But is it crazy to think that we might start 3-1? Seattle traveling across the country, Monday Night Football. Why can't we beat Seattle? Last year we had to go there, one of the toughest places to play in the NFL. They come here this year. I could see Seattle as a team that kind of regresses this year. Is it crazy to think that we could start 3-1? I'd be shocked if we don't start at least 2-2. But I'm seeing all these people on Twitter saying like it's doom and gloom, like we're dead. No, come on. So after those 4 games, let's get into it. At the Dolphins, tough. At the Bills, really tough. At the Commanders, that's a game we have to win. I don't care if it's played in East Rutherford. I don't care if it's played in Washington, D.C. I don't care if it's played in Neptune. I don't care if it's played on, Saturn. I don't care where that game is played. They're starting a basically a rookie quarterback. We're a better football team. We should have swept them last year. That's a game we got to win. You hope you get a split between the Dolphins and Bills. I'm not saying we will. Jets are going to be tough. I'm not downplaying the Jets this year. They got a really good defense. Really good defense. And you look at that stretch there for Daniel Jones. You play the Bills. You play the Jets. Those are good defenses, right? The 49ers, really good defense. Dallas, good defense. So he's playing some good defenses early on. I'm not downplaying that. This offense is could go through some struggles early on in the year. Then you got at the Raiders. We should beat them. We're better than the Raiders. We should beat them. Again, I don't care where that game's played. We should beat them. At the Cowboys, going to be tough, right? You figure good chance we can win at home. It's going to be tough to win in Dallas. Commanders, home, should beat them. Patriots, back-to-back games at home. No travel involved at that point. I think we should beat them. Green Bay off the bye. Aaron Rodgers ain't there anymore. We don't know what Jordan Love's going to look like, but clearly a game we can win. We beat them last year when Rodgers was the quarterback. And it's coming off the bye. We have 4 weeks, as bad as it is at the beginning of the year, we have 4 weeks with no travel when you include the bye at the end of the year. We get to recharge the batteries late in the season. Then we got at the Saints, who are not very good, in my opinion. I think they're very beatable. The Eagles twice and the Rams. And week 18, am I crazy to look at that schedule and say, yeah, we could definitely make the playoffs? Am I a homer if I say that? I don't know why. And this happens every year during the schedule breakout, but people go crazy and they say, oh, there's no chance. This schedule's brutal. We're dead. I don't look at that schedule and say, I think we're going to win 9 or 10 games. My opinion has not changed based off of the determination of how the schedule broke down. I think we're going to win 9 or 10 games. I believe in Brian Dable. I believe in this football team. I think they're a much improved football team. I think it's going to be a similar record to last year because, yes, our schedule is more challenging, but we're a much better football team. I definitely think we could win 9 or 10 games. I don't get this take by people, and I'll definitely do a more in-depth video breaking down the schedule, but I don't think that schedule's insurmountable like people are making it out to be. Let's see what we got. It all comes down to Evan Neal's. Well, Evan Neal is the X factor this year for the Giants. I've said that numerous times. Not just me. Several people have said that numerous times. License plate guy who came on the channel said that. It's just obvious, right? If Evan Neal could become an average right tackle this year, it changes the whole offense. If you've got bookend tackles with Andrew Thomas, Evan Neal, with the weapons that we possess, Daniel Jones another year in the offense, like it changes the offense. So yeah, I completely agree with that. John Michael Schmitz too, right? Like he's going to be put to the test going up against that really strong interior defensive front of the Eagles. Obviously that'll be later in the year. He'll have a little bit more experience at that point. You hope he's, more prepared for it, but he'll be put to the test. But yeah, I think Evan Neal for sure is the biggest X factor this year on the offensive side of the ball. But I don't even think it's a debate. I think we have the necessary weapons. I'm not saying we have the necessary weapons to be the Kansas City Chiefs, but I think we have the necessary weapons to be a good offense. But we got to be able to block. So Evan Neal is a major, major factor for the Giants this year. Let's see what we got. Rob says most important thing is to at least split with Dallas and Philly, beat Washington twice. That is the key to the play. I don't see. I'll say this. I don't see a path to the playoffs this year if we don't go 3-3 in the division. We can't go 1-4-1. We can't go 2-4. It's going to be very hard to make the playoffs. Maybe you could squeeze it if you go 2-4. Maybe, but this year, looking at our schedule, we're not playing the AFC South, right? We're playing tougher opponents. We're playing tougher divisions. So you can't expect, like last year, the Giants went 1-4-1 in division, and they went 8-3 out of the division, right? Easily could have won 9-2. Should have beaten the Vikings in the regular season. I don't see us doing that this year. I don't see us beating up on our out of division schedule to that effect. I don't think we're going to go 8-3, 9-2. I don't see that. Could we go 6-5? Yeah. But if you go 6-5, that means you got to go 3-3 in division to get to 9 wins. And 9 wins is going to get you into the playoffs. The NFC is not very good, but we have to go 3-3 in the division this year. I don't think we're making the playoffs if we don't go 3-3. That's got to be the goal. And that should be the goal. I think that's really the measuring stick for how improved this team is. I'm not saying I expect us to beat the Eagles. The Eagles are really good. But you got to show improvements against the Eagles. You got to show that you've at least started to close the gap. And I expect to split against Dallas. I see no reason why we can't split against Dallas. None. No reason. Strong to prosper. What's going on, man? I thought for sure Giants versus Jets on Christmas Eve, New York holiday season. Yeah, well, a lot of people obviously were talking about Giants Jets Monday Night Football to open the year. 9/11 obviously makes sense, right? The two New York teams. The league didn't elect to do that. The Jets are playing though on Monday night. So Giants and Jets both have primetime games. That's the other thing about the schedule when you look at it. The Giants play 3 primetime games in their first 4 games. And I guess this schedule is technically not official yet, but it's unofficially official. They play Sunday Night Football against Dallas. They play Thursday Night Football against the 49ers, and they play Monday Night Football against the Seahawks. On top of that, they got another primetime game against the Packers late in the year, and they play the Eagles on Christmas Day. Like last year going into the year, I think the Giants had, what did they have? They had, I think, one primetime game at the start of the year, and then they got flexed, obviously, to the Sunday Night Football game as it started to, look like it was going to mean a lot against Washington. But that wasn't initially a primetime game. So the league is starting to take notice. Giants are playing on primetime. I don't know how much I loved the fact that we're playing under the lights 3 out of the first 4 weeks. I'm not necessarily in love with that, but I wish they kind of spaced it out a little bit more. But yes, 4 primetime games plus the Christmas game. Mike, what's going on, man? What's up, Dana, man? I don't know what to expect. I am worried about a regression from last year just because it shouldn't happen. I mean, Mike, we're a better team. The record may not indicate it. We're a better team. We'll see. You don't know. We play what looks to be a tougher schedule. Maybe we don't win as many of those tight games as we did last year. I don't know. We're a better team. If we win 8 games, we could still be a better team than last year in my eyes. I'm hoping, obviously, we win 17. We make the playoffs, win the Super Bowl. But regardless, I think this team is definitely trending down the right path. I would be shocked if we win less than 7 games this year. Shocked. I believe in our head coach, unless we get completely destroyed by injuries. But I believe in our head coach. I believe in the growth of this football team. And I definitely think we're trending down the right path. So, yeah, I think this team is definitely trending towards where they need to be. Do I think they probably need another year of growth? Yeah. Before they're ready to, truly compete for a Super Bowl? Yeah. But I think we're going to get there. I believe in Shane and I believe in Dable. What's up, Jacob, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Let's see. Letting Dallas and the Eagles deteriorate while we slowly build up the foundation. Trust the process. Eagles are good. I'm not even going to downplay them. They're good. I do think the Dallas Cowboys are going to start to deteriorate a little bit. I already think they are starting to deteriorate a little bit. I really do. I think we're neck and neck with the Cowboys right now. It's hard for me to say we're better than the Cowboys before I see it. Like, we have to beat them before I see it. Last year, they were clearly a better team. But with the moves we made this year, with the growth that I expect from Daniel Jones this year, and just the offense in general and the defense in general, I think we could catch the Cowboys this year. I really do. Bob, what's going on, man? Here, Evan Neal will dominate this year because he is putting in the work, and you have to give Bobby Johnson credit for letting Neal go outside. Yeah, I mean, listen, you see all the highlights. I mean, I don't want to get too, enamored and falling in love with these highlights, and you see all the workouts that he's doing because we've done that in the past. We got excited about Daniel Jones when he was pumping iron year 2 and things didn't work out. And I understand that people are, hesitant and reluctant to buy into it. But yeah, it seems like he's putting in the work. He's been working out with a ton of people working on his technique. There's no reason to think that Evan Neal's not going to be at least a pretty good tackle this year. It's year 2. It's a position that, historically speaking, is hard to transition to into the NFL. Do I think you should expect an Andrew Thomas jump? No, I'm not saying you should expect that. Andrew Thomas went from one of the, at best, a mediocre tackle his rookie year. Like, we all remember, he started off really bad. And we found that at the end of the year, he's playing with an injury. And then, year 2, he wasn't quite an all-pro yet, but he was definitely trending that way. And then last year, he exploded. So I'm not saying I expect him to reach those heights, but I don't think there's any reason to think that Evan Neal's not going to be a good tackle in the NFL. He's too talented. He's way too talented of a prospect coming in. We have way too good of a coaching staff. Yeah, I do think Evan Neal's going to take a big leap this year. How big the leap's going to be, I don't know. But I think he's going to be at least an average right tackle for the Giants this year, which will go a long way if he is. Ryan, what's going on, man? Chase Young and Blue. Well, not this year, obviously. He's still in the contract, even though they didn't sign him on the 5th-year extension. What's going on, Ross, man? Thanks for popping in. So we'll see about that. How does it feel, Giants fans, that we won the Andrew Thomas Bowl? Remember when everybody, and it was a big thing. It was a spectacle. Everybody was saying, oh, Giants got to lose. Giants got to tank. We got to get Chase Young. Could you imagine what this team would look like right now if the New York Giants lost that football game and we drafted Chase Young, which they would have done? What would our offensive line look like? What would our left tackle look like? Could you imagine? What's going on there, Flex Lopez, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Let's see. Yeah, rookie should be gelled by the bye for sure. Yeah, what's going on, Eli Manning's popping to the stream, man. Good to see you, buddy. And Mr. Handsome says, how many games do you think we will win? I'm sticking with 9 or 10. I'm in that ballpark. I thought that before the schedule came out. I still think that. I think we're in that 9 to 10 range, but I believe that Daniel Jones is taking a big leap this year. And I'm going to have hot take videos out. And I don't care. If I look like a fool, I look like a fool. It's what I believe. I think Daniel Jones is taking a big leap this year. And obviously people that don't think he will, they are going to look at the schedule and they're going to say, expect 5 or 6 wins. There's a reason I wanted Daniel Jones back. I think he's going to take a big leap this year. I'm not saying Pat Mahomes, but I think he's going to look like an even better, like the leap that Jones took last year, I expect him to equal this year. I expect that size of a leap this year. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback this year. That's why I have the Giants at about 9 or 10 wins. I think he's going to be more familiar in the offense. I think the improved weapons around him. I think the growth of Evan Neal. And I think our defense is going to help the offense because I think we're going to create more turnovers. We're going to be better against the run. I'm excited. I'm excited for Daniel Jones in the offense this year. I'm very excited. Let's see what we got. Let's just hope 9 or 10. I think 9 or 10 will get us in the playoffs. Have you seen the NFC conference? Like, take a look around at the NFC conference. You've got, I'm going to respect the Lions. I actually think the Lions are really good. I think they're probably going to win 11 or 12 games and beat up on that crappy NFC North division. Okay, so I respect the Lions. The Vikings, I could see completely falling off. I don't know if they will, but I could see it. The Packers, we don't know what the hell they're going to be. The NFC North outside of the Lions, and I'll say the Vikings. The NFC South is garbage. Garbage. Only one team's coming out of the South. And then the NFC West, yeah, the Niners are good. Very good. Very good. Again, question mark with the quarterback, but still very good. I'm not going to downplay them. The Rams are a complete wild card. Are they a team that's already peaked and they have a lot of injury-prone older players that are starting to, teeter off, or are they going to rebound this year? They're a wild card. We don't know. Arizona's garbage, especially without Kyler Murray for probably at least half the season. And the Seahawks, would you be shocked if they regressed? So I don't think that the NFC is very good. So I would be surprised if the Giants won 9 games if they wouldn't get in the playoffs, especially being that they play a lot of teams that are probably going to be competing to get a wild card spot, whether it be Seattle, So if they get to 9 wins, they're going to have to beat some pretty good football teams, meaning they're probably going to own some of the wild cards. So Giants get to 9 wins. I think they're going to the playoffs. I don't think the NFC is talented enough to keep them out with 7 teams making the playoffs if we win 9 games. Jason, what's going on, man? Which UDFA makes the 50? I mean, obviously, everybody's going to say Ford Wheaton, right? Which I get. He's exciting as hell. He's 6'4". The dude ran a 4.38, I think it was. Maybe it was even quicker than that. You watch the highlight. He's an exciting prospect. And I hope he does make the team. And I will say the New York Giants definitely gave a pretty strong financial commitment, factoring that he's a UDFA for him. I think it's like $250,000 guaranteed, thereabouts. So what the Giants may end up doing when you look at this wide receiving core, because it is deep. It is very deep. Like, it's going to be hard for Marcus Wheaton, in my opinion, to crack this team. We don't have superstars, but it's deep. It's probably going to be the most competitive position in training camp. But you look at some of the wide receivers in this wide receiving core, like Sterling Shepard might start on the pup. Right? He's coming off an injury. There's a couple of guys, maybe you throw him on the pup. Maybe you put Marcus Wheaton on the opening 53 and then you stash him on the practice squad because then you don't have to worry about other teams potentially snagging him. I would be at least somewhat surprised. And maybe he will just blow me away in training camp. And if Brian Daboll has shown you anything, if you produce at training camp, you show that you know the playbook, you show that you're working hard, you're going to get a chance. Colin Johnson was going to make the team last year. He absolutely was going to make the team last year. He was a guy that was basically in a similar situation to a guy like Marcus Wheaton. I know he had a little bit of NFL experience, and he was a 5th-round pick. I get that. David Sills, undrafted free agent. He made the team, right? Those guys got the start. Well, Colin Johnson would have, but he got hurt. But David Sills got the start the year. So if Wheaton goes out there and blows it away, he's going to make this team. They're going to find a way to make the team. But if I had to guess, like if you're saying, Chris, make a prediction of the opening day 53, I could see something like that where they initially put him on it and then they stash him on the practice squad. I think they probably view him as kind of a project that they could potentially mold into a guy that could be an impact player for this team just based off of his physical attributes, right? So I'm excited. Like, he's definitely going to be one of the 4, 5, 6 guys that I'm going to be really excited about in training camp, right? Because of his explosiveness and his his potential, right? You think about this coaching staff and what they, could potentially get out of a guy like that. So I'm excited about it, but I would be a little surprised if he was like a contributor this year. But hey, Isaiah Hodgins was a contributor last year, right? I wouldn't have expected that. I just think it's really deep in the wide receiving core. So we'll see. But I'm excited about him for sure. Let me read the rest of this. Wheaton won't clear waivers, and we need more at the edge position. Also, I'm planning to go to the Giants-Raiders games at Vegas. That's awesome, man. Enjoy the game. The only thing with the Vegas games, man, they're so expensive, aren't they? Like, that's what I've seen. Like, the prices are outrageous, but I would love to go to a Vegas game. That's awesome. Enjoy it, man. That sounds great. As far as yeah, I think if the Giants are going to add like one, I've been calling for this guy's name, and the Giants have never done it. I don't think they're going to do it. But I've been calling for this guy's name for like 3 years. When I've done like free agent videos, when I've talked about veterans that I could see coming here on a 1-year prove-it deal. And this year, maybe it makes sense because the Giants are an ascending team. Maybe he looks at them as a team that he's like, I could be a part of an improved culture, a team that's, trending towards being a playoff team. I don't know what he's going to cost. I don't know, but I think he'd be a great fit as a depth edge rusher, as a part to the puzzle. Justin Houston, he's still a free agent. He's old, but it's a 1-year deal. It's just to improve your depth at the edge rusher position. But that is by far the Giants' weakest position group on this team right now. It's not even close. It's by far the weakest in terms of depth. I'm not talking about the starters, in terms of depth. Like outside of Aziz, who's been banged up, and obviously Kayvon, who's going to be tremendous this year. I can't wait to see Kayvon. We got nothing there, right? So I agree that that's definitely our thinnest position group. I'm not saying the starters are the worst, but that's our thinnest position group. So if the Giants are going to add some depth before the year starts, I think that would be the position group that they would do it. They didn't address it in the draft. Yeah, so I do think that's something that we could use going into the year if I had to pick a position. And I think they will add. I just don't know who it'll be. It might be a cheap alternative, a guy that falls off another roster. Maybe there's a team that's kind of strong in terms of depth there that the New York Giants are looking at right now. And they say, well, this guy may seep through the cracks and we'll snag him before the year starts. So I'm sure they have a plan. I think they will add at least a little bit more talent to that position. But obviously, we know the starters going into the year. But thank you, Jason, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate all you guys. Took the last couple of days off because there's not much to talk about. I'm not trying to force content. I know there was rookie mini camp. That's kind of just like an introductory, whatever. They run through like paths. They take pictures. It's exciting, but not a whole lot to talk about. So I was like, all right, I'll wait till the schedule. Talk about that. I'm going to start, making opinion pieces probably the next week. I'm going to start with those. As the season gets a little bit closer, I'm just not trying to force something right now. And in my opinion, there's not a whole lot to talk about. Donovan says, Cardinals talking a lot of trash on Twitter, considering they're going to be one of the worst teams this year. The Cardinals are garbage. I miss Bill. Bill, I'm going to get to you in a second, man. So the way that I guess I haven't live streamed as much recently. They don't color up. It's like clear with like a little tint of a color. So I hope I don't miss these in the future. StreamYard's got to do a better job, man. But Bill, I got you, man. I didn't miss you. I got you. Cardinals talking a lot of trash on Twitter, considering they're going to be one of the worst teams this year. Yeah, I don't think the Cardinals are going to be very good. I haven't really paid attention to what their fan base has to say because, frankly, I don't really care. They stink. They've never won a Super Bowl, so I don't really care what the Arizona Cardinals have to say. They have a quarterback that would rather play video games than study the playbook, and I fully expect the New York Giants to completely destroy them week 2. I think we're gonna win by 10+ points. I can't wait to destroy Arizona. So let them run their mouth now. We'll run our mouth in September. Bill, man, thank you so much, man. He says, F the NFL and this ridiculous schedule. Don't tell me this wasn't purposeful. Well, that's the conspiracy theory that came out today, right, Bill? I talked about that a little earlier. And yeah, let's take a look at it again. Let's live in the agony. Let's live in the agony, Bill. So yeah, I mean, yes, you look at this, you're like, what the hell, man? Cowboys home at Arizona at 49ers. And you got to think that those 2 games, the Giants are probably just going to stay over, right? Because the 49ers game is a Thursday night game. So you might as well stay there, right? Why travel back to the East Coast? So you got to figure that's probably what they're going to do after the Arizona game. Maybe they fly back for like a day or 2, but I don't know. I think that's kind of a scenario where it kind of makes sense to kind of stay on the West Coast. That's probably what they're going to do there. Then they come home for Seattle. Then they got 3 in a row. This is what bothers me. You got 2 road games in a row. Then you come back for 1 on Monday Night Football. That's another good thing there, by the way. I'll say that. That's almost like a mini bye, by the way, when you look at that. Because you've got the Niners on Thursday night, and then you don't play till the following Monday. So if we want to think optimistically early on in the schedule, That's good, right? That's a week and a half. That's like a mini bye to start the year after you have those 2 road games. You come home, you get Seattle traveling across the country. You have 11 days in between games. So that's like a little bit mini bye. You get to rest up a little bit. But then you've got 3 road games in a row. You got at Miami, at Buffalo, and at Washington. 3 in a row, right? That's wild. We'll see how the Dolphins look this year. But the one thing that I really worry about this year when I look at our opponents, the wide receivers are out of this world. So Deonte Banks is going to be put to the test, right? You look at the Miami Dolphins, the best wide receiving corps probably in football. You look at the Philadelphia Eagles, one of the best wide receiving corps in football. Dallas has a pretty good wide receiving corps, right? The 49ers have a great wide receiving corps. Seattle has a great wide receiving corps. Washington actually has a very good wide receiving corps. The Jets have a pretty good receiving corps. The Raiders have one of the best receivers in football. So that's one thing, and that was why I was so outspoken when I really looked at and I just think it was such a big need, a pressing need, especially for the Wink Martindale defense. But when you look at the schedule, you better be able to cover against some of the weapons that we're going up against. But you got at Miami, at Buffalo, at Washington. So 3 straight road games. So yeah, we got creamed. They absolutely creamed us to start the year. If you want to look at it from an optimistic standpoint, then after at Raiders at Dallas, then you get home, bye, home. So you're home for 4 straight weeks. Right? We talked about how we complain how we're on the road for 3 straight. We're home for 4 straight. And we get the bye to rest up before the end of the year. Then you got the Eagles twice, of course, with the Rams sandwich in between. The one, I guess, silver lining is that last game is week 18. Maybe the Eagles take it the same way they did this year, where they kind of rested their starters. We didn't need the game. Otherwise, we would have had a big advantage in that game. We rested our starters as well. So maybe it plays out that way, where if the New York Giants really need that game, they could get into the playoffs. But yeah, listen, they didn't do us any favors. I'm not going to lie about that. But listen, I'm an optimistic guy. I'm going to look at it like it's going to be that much sweeter when we get there. They tried to screw us out of the playoffs. We make the playoffs. It's going to feel that much sweeter. I don't view it as a insurmountable schedule. I don't, even though it's definitely challenging. I'm not trying to say it's not. It is. But I don't view it as an insurmountable schedule in any way. I think we could win 9 or 10 games. I still feel that. Osiron, what's going on, man? Hey, Chris, your streams kept me sane during college and all those losing seasons. Much love, go. But I appreciate it, man. And I can't wait to be doing a ton of streams this year for the Giants, right? I'm going to be very active in season. Going to try to go live like twice a week during the week. Obviously, be doing the play-by-plays. I love doing the Giants games. One of my favorite things to do. So really looking forward to continue to do Giants content for you guys. I appreciate all the support you guys always show on the channel. Kind of just took like a social media break in general. I wasn't on Twitter the last week. Just wanted to relax after the draft. Excited to be back. Excited to be talking Giants football. Really excited to be going to training camp. I don't know when I'm going to be able to go. I'm not as free as last year because now I work Monday to Friday, but I'll definitely try to make an appearance at least twice. I think they're open to the public at least 1 or 2 Saturdays, so I'll try to make it to those. And I may be going to the Dallas game. I might have to. Opening night. Like, that game is so big. James, what's going on, man? Can't wait till Christmas. It's going to be a tough game, though. James, I'm not even going to lie. That's going to be a tough game. But, yeah, I'm excited. It's the Eagles, but that's going to be a tough game. Thoughts on trading for IS? IS. Why am I not putting the name with the... Let me see if I can figure this out before I look at the chat. IS. Somebody in the chat let me know. Why am I not... Somebody in the chat let me know. Who's IS? I'm not good with initials. Let's see. I'm going to let the chat catch up. Oh, Isaiah Simmons. Okay, Isaiah Simmons. I know that they didn't pick up the 5th-year option, and Arizona probably will trade him, right? In my opinion, they're a rebuilding team. They're kind of tanking. I'll say this about Isaiah Simmons, and I'm very happy we didn't draft him. Thank God we took Andrew Thomas. He would fit in this defense very well. I would be open to it. Yeah, absolutely. I'd be open to it. I think he'd be a really good fit for this defense. I mean, it all depends on what the price would be, right? But yeah, I'd absolutely be open to it. I think he's a really good fit for this scheme. I never loved him as a player. When I was doing content that offseason, I'm not going to lie. Like, you let the fan base certainly at least influences your excitement a little bit. And I knew that the fan base was really excited about Simmons. Everybody wanted Simmons because we're, linebacker, exciting player. I was steadfast. I wanted to tackle. I never loved him as a player. I liked him as a player, but I much preferred the tackle. And the reason was he's kind of like he's good at everything. He's not great at anything. That was at least what I worried about leading into the draft. And he's been an up and down player. I don't watch Arizona games as much as I watch New York Giant games, but from what you hear, what people say, he's kind of been up and down. He's had some good moments, some bad. But I do think he fit the scheme very well. And obviously, we don't really have many good linebackers on this football team. So, I'd be open to that, depending on what the price would be. My guess is Arizona probably trades him midseason. I would be surprised if he's not traded, to be honest with you. If he has some kind of market, I think Arizona is going to be sellers this year. But I'd be open to it. Yeah, I think he's a good scheme fit. Jay, what's going on, man? How happy are you about the new turf? And at what point are you getting nervous about Barkley not showing? Mandatory camp first game. I'm not nervous about Barkley. Maybe I'm crazy because I feel like a lot of people just don't agree with me. When I go on Twitter, everybody just seems to think he's gonna play on the tag and it's gonna get really dirty. I don't know. It's not like I have insider knowledge. That nobody's told me this. As a matter of fact, Patricia Traina has kind of said the opposite, that she hasn't heard any progress. I think he's going to be a Giant. I do. I think everything points to that. And I think he's going to get an extension done. I really believe that. I'm not really nervous about Barkley. I think he's going to be a Giant this year. I think, as I've said now for, a couple of months, I think it's going to be like a $23 to $25 million in guaranteed money. It's going to equate to like close to 2 franchise tags. And that's my prediction. Maybe I'll be wrong, but that's what I think is going to happen. And, the Giants are going to kind of meet him halfway. Like they're going to be like, okay, well, we'll give him his 2 franchise tags to keep the locker room in order. He's a leader. We know we have the upper hand right now, but we want to show that we do right by our players, and it's not going to really destroy our cap long term. I think something like that is going to get done. But of course, Saquon Barkley's going to have to meet them there. I'm sure he wants more than that. But if he's willing to meet them there, I think they're going to get something like that done. The turf, I'm excited about the turf. I am. I'm very excited about the turf. I think, how crazy is it that as Giants fans, we're excited about grass? But that's how pathetic it's been with all the injuries that we've had. And I did a video. I never thought when I started, taking this at least semi-seriously that I would be doing a video about the turf. But it's been such a pressing topic. Every time I do these live streams, people talk about the turf. Chris, when are they going to change the turf? When are they going to put in grass? Because it was awful. And when I did a little bit of research into it, I'm like, wow, yeah, this should have been changed out years ago. This turf's awful. The only reason the New York Giants kept it was because it's more durable. And it doesn't require as much. You don't have to spend as much in terms of repairing it. It's more durable, but it's much more dangerous for lower body injuries for the players on the field. So I'm thrilled that they made that change. Mandatory camp first game. I think Barkley will be there. I think Barkley will be there for mandatory camp. I think they're going to get it done. I think the deadline is, I want to say it's like mid-July. I think that's the deadline by the time he has to sign the tag. I think he's either going to sign the tag or have an extension though by then. So I don't think he's holding out. I think he's going to be in Giants blue. I do. I really do. I don't think it makes sense for him to hold out. Outside of the fact that he already has a lot of money in the bank. That's kind of, I guess, the leverage that he kind of has, because unlike most running backs, he's already made a lot of money, right? Like Le'Veon Bell, for example, made nothing. I think he was like a 3rd-round pick, 4th-round pick. I don't even remember. But he was not the 2nd overall pick. He didn't have like $40 or $50 million in the bank like Saquon Barkley does. So Saquon could be like, well, I'm not going to play for $10 million. I'm going to hold it. I don't see him doing it, though, because does he think his market's going to be any higher next year? The running back market has only gotten less and less and less and less. And yes, I definitely think he would have gotten a pretty good contract had he hit free agency this year. And I hope he still does. I love Saquon. I hope he still does. But if he sits out a year and comes back at age 27, what leverage does the guy really have with the injury history that he's had? So I think it's in his best interest to get a extension done that the New York Giants will agree to. That's what I think is the smart approach. And it seems like Joe Schoen wants to do that, right? He's talked about how they're starting to have more conversations. If he wasn't interested in potentially giving him some kind of extension, they would just be like, no, he's playing on the tag. It's just a matter of what's the price going to be. I think they're going to get something done. I really do. And Bob says, hearing you say more live streams in season made my day. That's awesome, Bob, man. I appreciate you for being here, man. Appreciate all you guys. Hope you guys are all having a great day. Schedule day today. I'm excited. Had to go live and talk about it with you guys. Did this last year, too. It was a lot of fun. Stephen Lilly says, hiya, bud. Oh, my God. So excited for the schedule to be the best. You have to play hard and beat the rest. So in Dable, I trust. Bring it on. Let's go, Giants. Let's go. I'm with you, man. Like, the way I look at it, Steven, at the end of the day, we're probably not winning the division anyway. So, if we're being real. So, that's going to be the Eagles this year. The Eagles are still better than us. I don't want to say it, but it's the truth. So, if we win 11 games or 9 games, what's really the difference? That's the way I look at it, right? We're going to be in that 6 seed, 5, 6 seed, whatever it may be. So, yeah, I want to see what this team is made of. I want to be battle tested. I want this team to go through some diversity and come out strong on the other side. So if it means we win 9 games and we get the 6 seed and we get into the playoffs, I'm okay with that. If we do it against a tough schedule, I think if something like that were to play out, there'd be a lot of growth for this football team this year with some of the teams we're going up against and some of the obstacles that we have to overcome. So I'm excited, man. Bring on the challenge. I'm excited, right? When the New York Giants won the Super Bowl in 2008, 2007 regular season, they were the Road Warriors, 7-1 in the regular season, ended up going, and I know firsthand because I went to 3 games that year. They lost all 3. I went to 3 home games that year. The year they won the Super Bowl, they lost all 3. They ended up going, 3-5 at home, 7-1 on the road. And then, of course, Road Warriors in the playoffs. They were 10-1 on the road for the year. And obviously won a neutral field game. Listen, at the end of the day, I think this is something I know I'm thinking positively, but maybe this galvanizes the team, right? You're going through adversity. They screwed you on the schedule. That was kind of like how I took last year, right? After the Giants started off 3-1, all you heard me say is the worst 3-1 team of all time because that's all I heard. Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, Giants detractors, 4-1. This is the worst 4-1 team of all time. I love it. I think Giants fans love that. We embrace that. So I'm open to it, man. Bring on the schedule. Let's overcome it. That's the way I look at it. Steven, what's going on, man? Let's see. And what's going on there, Big Blue Elo? What's going on there, Andrew Christopher? What's going on there, Meat? What's going on, man? Not woke, just broke. What's going on? Bob Wells in the chat says, just did early win-loss predictions. I had 10-7. I'll probably do a video on that tomorrow. I tried to avoid the hot takes last year. I didn't make a video like that. I'll do a way too early record prediction video. It's for fun. You're throwing darts at a board, even if you're doing it the day before the season starts, right? The NFL is such a week-to-week league. But I'll probably do a video like that. But I'm going to have them right around the same, Bob. 9-10 wins. I think that's where my expectations are going to be going into the year. And hopefully they exceed it like they did last year. I had them at 7 wins last year. They ended up winning 9. Should have won 10. So hopefully they win 12 this year if I think we're going to win 9 or 10. But I think that's probably where I'm going to have them. But obviously I'm going to talk more extensively about each individual game and what I'm excited about. So I'm looking forward to making that video probably tomorrow after work. But Bob, man, thank you very much, man. I appreciate it, buddy. Let's see. The Silky Legend. Hot take. Old Jolari and Tibbs go for over 20 sacks. All right, let me go to the let me scroll down to the chat. Like the the most recent, because I want to get your guys' takes. Give me your guys. What's the chats, each individual person? What's your positive hot take this year? Like what's your like off the wall stat prediction that is a New York, a New York Giants hot take. Here's my first hot take. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to have the most sacks by an individual since J.C. Pierre-Paul in 2014. J.C. Pierre-Paul had 12 and a half sacks in 2014. That's the most we've had since then. I think he's going to come close to matching that this year. So there's my first hot take. I think Kayvon Thibodeau is going to have a monster year for the New York Giants. So I'm going to go 11, 12 sacks for Kayvon. There's one of my hot takes for the New York Giants this year. McKinney will have 5 picks this year. Daniel Jones, 40-plus touchdowns. I love it. We will upset the Bills. Isaiah Hodgins, 1,000 yards. 2 1,000-yard receivers. DJ throws 30-plus touchdowns. DJ 35-plus touchdowns. Hot take, we're beating the 49. Toby, you're flaming hot, and I love it. Tulio says 2 wide receivers, 1,000. Grim says Jalen Hyatt is wide receiver 1 by year's end. Ooh, that's really hot. That's flaming hot, Grim. I'm not going to meet you on that, but I hope you're right. What's up, Montauk? Good to see you, man. Gene says Waller, 11 touchdowns. Interesting. Meet with the thank you for being a member, man. Says Giants lead the league in run defense. I love that hot take because I think they're going to come close to it. I was actually looking at, because that's one of the things I'm most excited about this year, Meet, in terms of the improvements of the roster, because of how many resources we put into improving what was one of the biggest weaknesses of this team this year. I was looking at the quarterbacks we're going up against in terms of run, right? Because you worry about the dual threat running ability. Outside of Jalen Hurts, we don't really. I mean, I guess Geno Smith can run a little bit, but he's not really a guy that I view as like Daniel Jones is a much better runner than Geno Smith. So we don't really play a lot of quarterbacks because Kyler Murray's not playing. We're not playing Lamar Jackson. we're not really playing a lot of quarterbacks that could kind of beat you off the edge with the RPO. So I'm like, all right, that plays out even better, for our strength, where you're not going to have to worry about that dual threat quarterback. I don't know if you're going to be far off with that prediction. I'm not going to go as far to say they're going to be number one, but I think Giants' run defense is going to be damn good. We have one of the best defensive lines in football, in my opinion, going into the year. So, yeah, I definitely think that's going to be one of the biggest strengths of this football team. Tua is not really mobile. Allen is. I missed on Allen, amazing guy. Good call on him. Tua is not really mobile. I don't consider Tua mobile. DJ has 1,000 yards rushing. Let's go. We beat the Cowboys twice this year. JMS is a top 10 center. I love it. Love it. Hopefully he is. That's kind of hard to judge, but I could see. Here's what I'll say about JMS. And it is just optimistic, but I could see JMS not having as much of a rookie growth, like a rookie wall as other traditional rookies, just because of his age, right? He's so experienced. He's 24. I think he's gonna be 20. He might even be 25. Like he's old for a rookie, so he's more experienced. He's stronger. I think he'll probably struggle to start the year, but I could see him by like week 5, week 6, week 7, actually already being a pretty good center in the NFL. I could see it. Grim, what's going on, man? Losing $10 million as a running back at his age would be absurd. He will play on the tag. I think the conversations are lip service. Schwartz and Vacchiano are usually dialed in, and they said they don't see a deal. Maybe they'll be right, Grim. I wouldn't be shocked, obviously, if he plays on the tag. If he has to play on the tag, I wouldn't be shocked. Here's my opinion. I think he will have to play on the tag if he doesn't come down from his number. I'll tell you that. And I'm sure his number is probably $50 million. 4 years, $50 million. 35 guaranteed. That's probably what he wants. If he's staying at that number, he's playing on the tag. He's going to have to come back. He's going to have to meet the New York Giants closer to the middle. But I do think if he's willing to do that, I think they will give him an extension. The question is, will Saquon and his agent be willing to do that? That remains to be seen. That's just my opinion on the matter. That's just my opinion, but we'll see. Either way, I think he's going to be a Giant this year. And Isaiah, and here's when we sweep Philly. Is it crazy that I think we're going to win at least 3 divisional games? Is that a hot take? Is that a hot take that I think we're going to win at least 3 divisional games this year? Let's see. Hot take, Trey Hawkins becomes a starter by season's end. All right, here's another hot take. Here's another optimistic hot take. Fabian, what's going on? Jones tells everyone, suck it, and shuts everyone up. I love it. I love it. I love it. What's up, Thrill Collins, man? Thanks for popping in, man. Hot take. We might make more defensive intercept. Oh, Neo, if we don't, that's the name of my dog, by the way, Neo Beetle. If we don't have more defensive interceptions this year, I'm going to be friggin' pissed. The New York Giants had 6 picks last year. 6. So we better have more picks this year. I think it was the fewest interceptions in football by a team. And I think we're gonna. And I think the biggest reason why we're going to have a pretty significant uptick in interceptions, one, I talked about how we're not playing a lot of mobile quarterbacks. So we're playing a lot of guys that are going to have to play from the pocket. But 2, our run defense is going to be so much better that it's going to make our opponents much more predictable on 3rd and 2nd down, which is going to lend itself to more potential interceptions. Not to mention, I think Kayvon's going to improve, so more pressure off the edge. I definitely think we're going to have a major uptick in interceptions, but a major uptick may still mean near bottom of the league. We only had 6 interceptions last year as a team. But I'm excited. I'm excited for sure about the defense. I might be more excited about the defense than the offense. I mean, some of the additions to this defense this year have got me excited, right? Bobby Okereke. Kayvon to me is almost an addition because I think he's going to be as good as he was last year. I think he's going to be a lot better. The improved depth on the defensive line. I'm excited about Deonte Banks. To hell with the people that didn't like the pick, and I think most people did. I'm excited about Deonte Banks. I think he could be really good, right? So I'm really excited about the defense this year. And now Wink actually has, toys that he could play with. Last year, obviously, he was handcuffed. Not only did we have a lot of deficiencies throughout the roster, we had a ton of injuries on that defense, right? You think about it. Obviously, Adoree Jackson missed like a third of the season because Dable, his lone mistake of the year, had him feeling punts. McKinney, no ATVs this year, Xavier, please. He missed like a third of the season, right? Kayvon was still a rookie. Leonard Williams missed some time. Like, there were a lot of injuries last year on the defense. Now you had a lot more talent. Like, Wink is going to get aggressive this year. And obviously, he was really aggressive last year. We blitzed 42% of the time. But I think the blitz is going to be a lot more effective this year because of the overall strength of the defense. Lancey, what's going on, man? How much cap space will the Giants have in 2024? I mean, I can pull it up for you right now. Lancey, I was actually looking at it today because I was bored. But it's kind of irrelevant because you could always move cap space around, right? Especially when you're talking about the types of salaries that the New York Giants have committed to the 2024 cap. I'm going to do a video on this, but I'm waiting until all the contracts are signed, the rookie deals, Saquon Barkley, if he signs an extension. So to me, it's kind of premature because I want to know like what we're really looking at going. Once all the rookie deals signed, you see what their impact's going to be on the 2024 cap. Once they structure the Saquon Barkley extension, if they do extend them. So I'm kind of waiting for all that to play out. But as far as the way it looks right now, the 2024, this is 2023. So for 2024, I think it's like 40 million right now we have, because obviously we put a lot of money into Daniel Jones. Jones next year is going 45 against the cap. But if you look at Jones's contract, he's 31 against the cap the next year. So if the Giants are good this year and they say, hell, next year we could compete for a Super Bowl if we had some pieces, they could easily move 15, $20 million of that, space it out. They could easily do something like that next year. So they have options to free up more cap space if need be. They could do the same thing with Dexter Lawrence, who's going 22 against the cap. They kind of evenly distributed over the course of the contract. Andrew Thomas, he's going to be less against the cap than this currently projects because he's going to get the extension. But as you saw with the Dexter Lawrence contract, they reduced his year 5 hit. They're going to do that with Andrew Thomas next year. That'll probably be 6 or 7 instead of 14. Waller, that's probably not going to move. That's going to be what it is. Okay, same thing. Kayvon 8.5, that's the rookie contract, is what it is. Slayton, I don't want to say this because I like Slayton. I thought he had a really good year last year. If we see growth in a guy like Jalen Hyatt this year, if we see growth in potentially a guy like Paris Campbell, we want to bring him back. Slayton could be a cap casualty. I'm not saying he will. They could also potentially restructure his contract too, but they set it up in a way where if they need to, they could get out of it, right? It's only a $1.75 million hit. $6 million in savings if you were to move on to him. So the Slayton deal was basically a 1-year deal. That's basically what it was. Now, if he plays really well, I'm sure they'll bring him back for that price. Glowinski, he's going to be cut, right? So right there, that's like $6 million in savings right there. He ain't coming back. I guarantee you that next year. Evan Neal, obviously going to be here. Leonard Williams, that's just void money. He's not under contract next year. They owe him $6 million for next year's cap. Nacho Roches, 4.3. But then when you look at the cap right now, and this is without all the rookie salaries, this is without next year's rookie salaries, we currently have $44 million in cap space, but they could move money around easily. Like the Daniel Jones thing alone, they could free up $20 million in next year's cap if they wanted to. Like if they wanted to get aggressive next year, they could easily do it. So I'm not worried about the cap. I think Joe Schoen has us in a good place with the cap. All these contracts are short-term. They're contracts that you could get out of after a couple of years if things go south. I thought the way he structured all these deals was really smart. So that's the way the cap currently looks. But they have a lot of options. Thanks, Lancey, man. I appreciate it, man. Let's see. What's going on, Sherrod, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's going on there, Rob? What's going on there, amazing guy? Christy in the chat. What's going on, Mickey X? What's going on there, Ryan? 11 wins. I love it. Chris, I think the quarterback from Detroit come up. He had 6 interceptions a couple of years ago, Ricardo, which is as many interceptions as we had as a team last year. Of course, he's not great in coverage, but he has made plays. Not Woke Just Broke says, Chris, hook up with SNY like CP the franchise. You got the mods for that. But on the New York Giants football side, I would love to do that. I mean, CP's fantastic. I mean, that guy, I think he, in terms of overall production quality, he's so well spoken, and he built this channel so well. Like he did it the right way. I'm so happy for him. Great guy. Yeah, I wish I got to go to one of his watch parties. He's invited me in the past. I love JD. He's a part of that channel now. I'm so happy for the growth of that channel and the growth of CP. He worked hard, and he's getting to live out his dream. He's awesome. G-Man says, I'm so excited to see how those rookies look. Really think people are sleeping on Hyatt. You're the GOAT, and I appreciate it, man. I'm excited about Hyatt, man. I think all Giants fans, when they started to see the highlights about Jalen Hyatt, they kind of fell, myself included, like they fell in love with him. He just feels like a New Yorker to me. When I watched his interviews, his behind-the-scenes interviews, he's got like that. He's not cocky, but he's confident. You could just tell, and I don't know, like the vibe I get, and maybe I'll be wrong. Like he's like a guy who loves playing football, and you can never have enough guys like that. So I'm really excited about Jalen Hyatt. I am. I don't know what he's going to end up being. I don't know if he's going to end up being like a number 3 receiver. I don't know. I don't know if he'll ever be a number 1, but I think he's going to be a good football player. I'm excited to see his growth with the New York Giants. And he obviously, brings speed. Not every guy could run, low 4.3s. Jamal, what's going on, man? Hey, Tana, what's up? I'm super excited about this season. I feel the wide receiver core will surprise everybody, and I believe we have a top 5 defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we have a top 5 defense next year. I really wouldn't. And I like our receiving core. We don't have a number 1, and we still definitely need a number 1 long term. But yeah, our wide receiving core is much better than it was last year. I really think that. I mean, I have to think Hodges is only going to get better. I like Paris Campbell. I feel like a lot of Giants fans are like downplaying that signing. When I posted the wide receiver core on Twitter, people were like, oh, he shouldn't be in the top 4. Paris Campbell, I like Paris. I've always liked Paris Campbell, and I think he fits this scheme really well. Obviously, Waller, he has to count as a wide receiver. So I like our core. I don't love it. I know that we need more growth and we need more talent on it long term. But I when you look at it, I like, what are you complaining about? Like, people that are complaining about this wide receiving core, what did you expect? Like, what did you expect? The free agency market, there was no great wide receiver. So the Giants didn't overcommit there. They brought in a guy that they felt fit the scheme, that could help contribute, Paris Campbell. They drafted Jalen Hyatt. They got good value in the 3rd round. There was no immaculate wide receivers in this draft class. They made the most out of what they were presented with this offseason. They said to themselves, we're going to continue to build up a weakness, and we're going to realize that this isn't going to be fixed in 1 year. You're not going to turn arguably the worst wide receiving core in football to a great wide receiving core in one offseason, especially in an offseason where there weren't any premier free agent wide receivers. So they said, we're going to improve it. We're going to bring in a lot of stopgap options, and we're going to try to find our long-term options in the draft, like a Jalen Hyatt. Next year, I'm sure they're going to continue to try to address the position. So I'm happy with what they did at the wide receiver position this offseason. Jason says, Shane should look into Simmons. Yeah, I would be completely for it. I don't know what his market's going to be, but next to Okereke, our team speed would be a boon, especially as a blitzer and a spy against the mobile quarterbacks we play. I'd be completely open to that. I think he'd be a perfect fit in Wings defense, right? I'm still very happy we didn't draft him. Very happy we got Andrew Thomas. But yeah, I'd absolutely be open to that. For sure. D-Kit, what's going on, man? Yo, Chris, what's going on, D-Kit, man? Well, that's new. I thought the greens were always yellow. I thought the 10s were always yellow. Now they're green. He says, yo, Chris, with the signing of Ashawn, can we play him alongside Dex and move Leo to the edge sometimes? Yeah, I think Ashawn's role is going to be obviously the nose tackle, right? He's a run stuffer. That's why he's on the team. I don't think Leo's, when you say edge, I don't think you mean stand-up outside linebacker. If that's what you mean, no, I don't think that's what he is. I think Leo's a guy that could play, obviously, up at the line of scrimmage, but off as a D-end, or he's got some versatility and he can play on the interior. So I don't think Leo's role changes too much. I just think it adds more depth, and it improves what was a major weakness for us last year. We didn't have a traditional run stuffing nose tackle last year. That's something that we desperately were missing, right? We had one of the worst run defenses in football. You had him, you had Nacho. I think it's also just going to improve our ability to close out games, right? You think about that, how much fresher guys like Leo are going to be, how much fresher guys like Dexter Lawrence are going to be at the end of games. Maybe their snap count gets reduced by 5 or 6 snaps a game. Maybe they don't have to work quite as hard as they had to last year with the lack of talent around them in terms of overall depth on that defensive line. And when you really need those guys to produce at the end of a game to close out a football game, they're going to have the energy to be able to do that. So the improved depth on the defensive line, I think, is going to go a long way for the New York Giants defense next year. So I'm excited about it. But no, I don't really see too much of a different role for Leo. I think he's going to play a similar role. And Dex, I don't want to change his role. I think last year the New York Giants discovered what he did best. Leave him there. Don't move him. He was an all-pro. So I just think it's going to add depth. It's just going to make the defensive line a lot better. But DK, man, thanks, man. I appreciate you for being here, buddy. What's going on, Daniel, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. Let's see. Hot take, Giants get 10 wins this season. I don't think that's a hot take. Vegas has them at 8.5, but I think they're a 9 or 10 win team. I don't think that's a hot take. Maybe a little bit, but I would say like 12 is a hot take. That's what I would consider a hot take. Not 10. I think that's kind of where it should be. Maybe a little bit higher, but kind of where it should be. Cressley says, I love opening on Sunday Night Football. I'm ready for the season. I love playing the Cowboys to open the year. I think it's especially because it's at home. If it was in Dallas, I'd feel differently. But the fact it's at home, because it always seems like I think we had like 4 out of 5 years where we played Dallas opening week, but it was always in Dallas. I love the fact that it's at home. I like that we get to really see where we stack up against them to start the year. And like I said at the top of the stream, the fact that they're have an unfamiliar offensive play caller, you figure they're not going to come out firing on all cylinders to start the year. I think we could definitely pick them off week 1. Let's see. What are we having, a DJ versus Lamar discussion? I don't really care. Just win football games. I don't really care. Christy says, got to beat Dallas at least once. Might as well do it week 1 at home. Yeah, I think it's a good time to get them. Chris, what's wrong with your Mets? They stink. But hey, they've been banged up, right? Obviously, Verlander missed time. He's starting to get back now. I think he's had 2 starts now. He looked good his last time out, so hopefully he gets better. Baseball's a marathon; it's not a sprint. What I'm hoping for as a Mets fan is, unlike last year, where the team completely fell apart the last month of the season, this is where we fall apart at the beginning of the year, and then we finish strong. That's what I'm hoping. Deacon says, here's a question. Do you think the Giants would have won more than 9 games with Hurts as their quarterback last year? Maybe one more game. I don't think it would have been like an insane amount more. Maybe one more game. Maybe 10, maybe. I think the Eagles would have been around the same record with Danny Jones as their quarterback. The Eagles roster is ridiculous. Maybe they win one less game. So maybe one more game. Jason, what's going on, man? Who's our starters on defense in our base 3-4D? Well, I think all right, Leo, Dex. You got to go with Ashawn, even though I think Nacho's going to have a role. But if you're in your base, I think those are the 3. Obviously, Kayvon and Aziz if they're healthy. Okereke. And then what's his name? The guy that we got from the Lions. Why does the name escape me? But yeah, I think he's at least a favorite going into the preseason. I would think he's the favorite. But I could see him being beat out. But I would say he's probably the favorite to be the second linebacker. But they're going to run a ton of they're going to have a ton of looks where they only have one inside linebacker and they have an extra DB. But yeah, Gerard Davis. There you go. Yeah, I would say that's our base 3-4 going into the year. Let's see. Are you gonna? Yeah, I always stream the preseason games. Can't wait. Let's see what we got. Scorching hot take: with the addition of a legitimate cornerback 2 will lead the league in sacks. Ooh, that is a scorching hot take. I wouldn't be shocked if we were among the league leaders in sacks next year, because we're going to be really aggressive and we have a really good defensive line, and I think Kayvon's going to get a lot better. And I think we're going to force teams to throw the ball a lot more because I think our run defense is going to be really good. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're among the league leaders in sacks next year. Top 7, 8. I wouldn't be surprised. Who will be the starting corners? I mean, obviously Adoree. And if I had to guess right now, I think Adoree, I think Banks is the starter. He's a first-round pick. I think he's really talented, and I think he fits the scheme really well. So I think he will get the starter's job. I think it'll be Banks and Adoree. And I think Flott, I just think it sounds too good. Flott in the slot. I think Flott has a good chance to win that job. Obviously, Aaron Robinson stands a chance. Darnay Holmes, if he stays with the team, but it's $3 million if you cut him. We'll see if that's what they elect to do. I think Flott, if he has a good camp, is probably going to win that job. Because obviously, he's a guy that they like. They drafted him. And he looked good at times last year with the Giants. So, he's far from a sure thing. I think it's a great competition going into camp. But I think Flott right now is at least a slight favorite to be the starting slot to start the year. Let's see what we got. Percent-wise, how much better did we get this year? Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how much better we got this year, Fabian. Our offensive line got better. You got to figure Evan Neal's a better player this year, right? Is that fair? Evan Neal's going to be a better player this year, right? I have to think John Michael Schmitz is going to be better than Feliciano. So our offensive line got better. Our quarterback got better, in my opinion. Year 2 in the same offense. Better weapons around him, right? Year 2 with Dable. Year 2 with Kafka. Our quarterback got better. Our wide receivers got better, right? Paris Campbell, Darren Waller. Yes, he's a wide receiver. So they got better. Our running back core got better just by adding Eric Gray. He's a good addition to the depth of that running back core, provided Saquon Barkley's playing for the Giants this year, which I think he will. So every position got better, right? Tight end, obviously, better. Defense, defensive line, better, much better in terms of depth. Linebacking core, much better. Bobby Okereke by himself. Cornerbacks, better. I don't know how much better. We'll see what, he's a rookie with Deonte Banks, but better. Safety got a little worse. We lost Julian Love. That's about it. Special teams, I think, is going to be much better. Much better. Because now you're not going to have special teams players starting. You're going to have special teams players playing special teams. And I think some of those guys that we drafted, like a Trey Hawkins, is going to be a big contributor in special teams. So, yeah, I think we're a much better team. I also think we play a much harder schedule. But I think we're a much better team. Hot take, Sexy Dexy gets, I'm with it. I'm with it. Sexy Dexy, man. I think he's going to get another All-Pro, man. I think he's going to be a monster. If, and it's a big if, the O-line is top 10, Saquon could hit 2,000 total. I mean, he almost hit 2,000 total yards last year, right? What did Saquon have last year? Like 1,850? He almost hit it last year. So, I could see it. I don't think he will, only because I think he's going to have a little bit more of a reduced role this year. But I could see him matching his yardage last year, even though he may not get quite as many touches, because I think when he does get touches this year, it'll be more productive. It'll be more explosive, as good as he was last year, because I think he'll be more rested. I think the offensive line is going to be better. So, yeah, I think they're going to have a little bit more of a running back by committee approach. I don't think they're going to run Saquon Barkley quite as much into the ground as they did last year, which is a big reason why they brought in Gray. Not to mention it was just a really rich running back draft class. So, yeah, I think he's going to – I would guess if I was doing a stat prediction for Saquon, I would say it'd probably be pretty comparable to last year. In terms of overall total yardage, maybe he gets a little bit more in terms of receiving yards, a little bit less in terms of rushing yards, but I think he'd be right in that 1,700 to 1,800 yard area. Let's see what we got. Stanley says, "Hey, Chris, why do you think Eric Gray – why do you think Eric Gray will – I think he's over – I don't think he's over – I like Eric Gray. I mean, proof's in the pudding. I said it on Twitter before the start of day 3. I wanted the Giants to draft him. I like Eric Gray. Yeah, I think he's not like – he's not a sexy runner in the sense that, like a Saquon Barkley type runner. He's not going to have super, jaw-dropping highlight plays. But, yeah, he's a good pass catcher. Yeah, he reminds me of Ahmad Bradshaw. He's a good one-cut runner. I like him. He runs hard for his size. I'm a fan of Gray. I'm not saying this guy's a superstar, but I think he's a very nice addition to the running back core. I like him. Let's see what we got. Hey, Tana. Hope all is well, bro. Shake my head. 7 away games. I know. It's not the best, but I'm not worried. JD says, Chris, for goodness sake, and you for my ADHD, you didn't give a percentage. The Giants? My bad. A percentage in terms of how much better they got? I mean, that's hard. I mean, how do you really that's kind of hard. Much better. I don't know, 50% better, much better. I think they're much better in all 3 phases. I think their offense is going to be much better. I think their defense is going to be much better. I think their special teams is going to be much better. So a much better football team. You want me to, I'll say 50% better. I don't know. I think they're a much better team. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Jet scheme isn't a real home. I know. Toba says 3 Giants you would want in a bar fight, Chris. Keep up the good work. 3 Giants I would want in a bar fight. Oh, wow. All right. Before this offseason, everybody would have said Nick Gates. Let's be honest with ourselves. He may not have been the most talented player. We loved him because he was just tough as hell. But listen, you got to start with the big fellas. Now, I love Dex, and Dex is an incredible football player. But if I'm just talking like street fight, Dex just comes across like an adorable teddy bear. I don't know. Like, I can't picture Dex being, I don't know. I love him too much. I don't know. He's not a fighter to me. Nick Gates was a fighter, right? I think I'm throwing Jihad Ward in there. Jihad Ward just seems like a mean, nasty guy. So I think Jihad Ward's on my list. I think he's on my list. So I think I'm going to throw Jihad Ward in there. I think I'm going to throw. I think I'm throwing John Michael Smith in there. He's don't let his face fool you. He looks like this friendly, Midwestern guy. He don't play friendly. All right. I think I'm throwing JMS in there. I think I'm going with Jihad Ward. I think I'm going with JMS. And who's going to be my last guy? I mean, I got to go with Andrew Thomas. Who's a better protector than him? I got to go with Andrew Thomas. So I'm going to go with JMS. I'm going to go with Andrew Thomas. I'm going to go with Jihad Ward. That's what I'm going with. He says, Hattie's all you need, bro. Yeah. Let's see what we got. Big Blue Wrecking Crew. What's going on there? Jermaine, man, thanks for popping to the stream, man. Jeff Smith is a PR or gunner. I agree. I think that's why he's making the team. He's making the team because of his special teams prowess. Well, Brandon Jacobs is a former Giant, but yeah, I'd go to any fight with him. What's going on there, Dustin, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. Anyone but Golden. Yeah. I don't think we're trading for Budda Baker. I know that was like a slight rumor. I don't see that happening. I'd be surprised. I could see the Simmons thing before that. Let's see what we got. Chris, I see your Giants and my Finns are playing. Yeah, I'm excited about that matchup. I got to talk to Dougley Durong that week. He's awesome. So we'll definitely do something that week where I have him on the channel or I go on his channel, whatever. He's a Met fan too. So definitely got to have him on the channel that week. I love that guy. Do you think Shepard makes the roster? I'm leaning. My heart says yes. Yes, I'm going to say yes. But I could see them throwing Shep on like the pup to start the year, right? To maybe make sure like Marcus Wheaton doesn't get snagged off a practice squad and then throwing Wheaton on the practice squad. I'm going to lean yes, barely. Because generally speaking, when you're talking about the 5th, 6th, 7th receivers on a roster, you're going to factor in special teams. And Shepard doesn't bring that. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's cut. I really wouldn't. I don't think he will be, though. I think he's going to make the team. But he may be thrown on the pup to start the year. I don't know the severity of his injury and how he's going to look at training camp. I know he's looked good in videos, right? I see him working out with, at the gym with his girlfriend, shooting footballs. And I love Shep. He's one of my favorite Giants. He just gets hurt all the time. So I hope he makes the team. But I don't think he's going to be a starter. Let's see what we got. We know what the Bills, Dolphins, Eagles, 49ers are. The rest are unpredictable. In terms of our schedule, let me look at our schedule again. Let's take a quick look at it again. Cardinals or whatever. We're going to beat the Cardinals. All right, let's look at the games that we absolutely need to win. Cardinals, that's a must-win for me. I think the Seattle game is a near must-win. When you factor in what I said earlier, basically a half a bye, right? You have 14, 15 days there. They're traveling across the country. We're home. You factor in all those road games at the beginning of the year. I think we should win that game. I don't care if Seattle went to the playoffs last year. I think we should win that game. The Washington games are must-wins. We got to sweep them. We just do. So that's 4 for me, like must-wins. I think we should beat the Raiders. I do. I don't think they're very good. I'm not going to just completely discount the Patriots. Belichick's always dangerous. The Packers are kind of an unknown. We don't know what Jordan Love's going to look like, but I'd favor us, especially coming off the bye. So I'm going to label that as a must-win. And then I'll even throw in the Saints. I think those 6 games you got to win at least 5 of them, in my opinion. Those are games we should win. And then you find a way to win another 4 or 5, and you're in the playoffs, right? Whether it be the Patriots game, you split with the Cowboys, you beat the Jets, you beat the Dolphins, I don't know, the Rams. Maybe you beat the Eagles the last week of the season. But I think they got to win at least 5 out of those 6 I just said. That's the way I'm looking at it going in. Let's see what we got. What's up, Talk with Zoe says, I don't think we could keep a guy just because of his leadership qualities. We need to keep people who are going to help us on the field. I mean, I agree. If they don't feel he's going to help them on the field, he's not going to make the team. I agree. That's why I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't make the team. I don't know what he's going to look like at training camp. I think he's still a good wide receiver, but the guy's always hurt. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he doesn't make the team. Not even in the slightest. He's one of my potential surprise cuts, I guess, for some people. I think a lot of people just assume he's making the team. I don't think he's a lock. Not woke, just broke says, Chris, what's the keys to beating the Eagles in Dallas this year? I think it's pretty obvious. It's not easier said than done, but I think it's pretty obvious. It's the line of scrimmage. I mean, you go back, you watch those 2 games last year. Why did we lose? It was because of the line of scrimmage. My God. Remember that playoff game? The Eagles destroyed us up at the point of attack. The Cowboys, remember the first game of the year we played them in Dallas? Daniel Jones got pressured 25 times. It's the line of scrimmage. You've got to do much better up at the point of attack if we stand a chance to beat those teams. That's the key. And I think we will. I think we will do better, especially against the Cowboys, up at the point of attack. I think our defensive line is much better than it was last year. And I think our offensive line is better than it was last year. So I think we will be improved in that area. But that's the key. That's it in a nutshell. We have to be much better up at the point of attack when we play those teams. Oh, it was at home. My mistake. It was at home. Let's see. Sticky Fingers, what's going on, man? Hi, Dana. Have some money. Cheers. What's going on, Sticky Fingers, man? Good to see you, man. Thank you for popping in, man. Speaking of the line of scrimmage, the Giants are predicted to have the number 1. Yeah, I saw that talk with Zoe. I don't know who. I didn't get. I saw people retweeting that, talking about it on Twitter. I don't know who made that prediction. I don't know. I have no idea. But I hope they are. I think we definitely have one of the better defensive lines. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, and A'Shawn Robinson's tremendous. It's just a matter of can he stay on the field. So I think we have one of the better defensive lines. Let's see what we got. What's up, Slurp? He says, bad schedule. I say more opportunities to prove it. I'm with you, man. I'm not panicking about the schedule. Nelson says, got to win our division home games because we didn't do it last year. We got to go 3-3 or better in the division. Period. Going into the year. That to me is as important as anything else. You got to prove that you could, you belong in this division. That's got to be where the most improvement is this year. Chris, does Kayvon's matchups look like? What does Kayvon's matchups look like when you look at the schedule? Well, the Eagles obviously still have a great offensive line, so he plays them twice. The Cowboys have a very good offensive line. Let me look at the rest of the schedule, but in division, those 2 teams have very good offensive lines. But again, especially with Wink's scheme, I feel like it's more scheme than anything with Wink, right? Because you don't know where the pressure is coming from. It's not like a traditional defense where you're just lining up 4 guys and they got to, manhandle the 4 guys up at the point of attack. And I think with the improved defensive line, it's going to, I think Kayvon's going to have a big year. I really do. But I think Seattle actually has a good offensive line, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was a better offensive line than people thought last year. They drafted a couple of good rookies. The Bills line is meh. I don't think it's great. The Raiders, I don't watch the Raiders. I think they have a pretty good offensive line, but it was worse than people thought it was going to be last year. Washington had a very underwhelming offensive line last year. The Packers traditionally have a pretty good line, but I think a lot of it had to do with Aaron Rodgers with his pre-snap reads. The Saints typically have a pretty good line. We go up against some pretty good lines, I suppose, but I think I'm not worried about Kayvon this year. I think he's going to have a monster year. Let's see. Tana, where do you think the GM are most improved based on additions? Well, let me ask the chat. What position group based off of talent are they most? I think it's oh wow. I think it's either inside linebacker or defensive line. And I still don't think our inside linebacking core is incredible, but it was so bad last year. The fact that you added a very good inside linebacker, that's a massive improvement. So I think it's either inside linebacker or defensive line. If I had to pick one position group, that's what I would say. The wide receiver core is up there too. I agree with that. You could make that argument. I would say those 3 are probably the 3 areas where you could make the argument. Did the schedule get leaked? Yeah, this is the schedule, man. For anybody that's popping in, this is the schedule. Cardinals, Sunday Night Football. I'm sorry, Cowboys, Sunday Night Football, at the Cardinals, at the Niners, Thursday Night Football. And I'm going to do an individual video on this when I talk in more detail tomorrow. about each matchup when I guess it technically comes out officially. But yeah, this is the unofficial official schedule. At the 49ers, Thursday Night Football. Seahawks, Monday Night Football. At the Dolphins. At the Bills. At the Commanders. A lot of ats, you notice, right? The first 7, 8, 9, 10 games. Jets, neutral field. At the Raiders. At the Cowboys. It's the first time in the history of the NFL that a team is playing 7 road games in their first 10 contests. Of course, the fact that there's now 17 games, you'll see this more often now because it's an unbalanced schedule. You play 9 road games as opposed to 8 every other year. Next year, the Giants will have the extra home game, but 7 road games on our first 10 games. Then the Commanders, the Patriots, bye, Packers home Monday Night Football, at the Saints, at the Eagles, Rams, and we finish with the Eagles. So that's our schedule going into the year. So there you go. And let's see. Dennis, what's going on, man? He says, hey, Chris, I work on a channel called Dinger City and a video of draft your 5 favorite YouTubers. I drafted you. That's awesome, man. Yeah, reach out. We'll love to collaborate. Papa Den. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter. I always try. Sometimes I miss people's messages, but I always try. I always try to collaborate with anybody that asks me to. So reach out to me on Twitter, man. Just shoot me a message, or at me if I'm not following you already. And yeah, man, I'll definitely come on. Yo Elvis says I see 9 or 10 wins. I agree. That's about where I have is 9 or 10 wins. Jamil says this is brutal. It's tough. It's a tough schedule. I ain't gonna lie to you, Jamil. I'm not gonna come on here and lie to you. It's a tough schedule, but I think we're a tough football team. I think we could get 9 or 10 wins. I really do. Let's see. Sullivan says went from 1 primetime technically to 3 to 4. Yeah, I mean, like last year, we only had one. We only had one primetime game last year when the year started. And then obviously we had the flex game against Washington. I suppose technically the I just want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I got him. We played a game on a holiday last year, right? On Thanksgiving. So technically, I guess some people view that as a primetime game, even though it's not at night against Dallas. But yeah, this year we have 4 night games, 3 in the first 4 weeks. And we have a Christmas Day game against the Eagles in Philadelphia. What are we? That's how you know. That's how you know that that the NFL deliberately tried to screw over the New York Giants. Who would subject any human being, let alone the New York Giants, but any human being, who would force anybody that's not from that disgusting, filthy city to have to spend their Christmas in Philadelphia? That's how you know they have it out for the New York Giants. To force Brian Daboll and the 53 men that work their asses off every week to compete for the city of New Jersey and New York to have to spend their Christmas in that disgusting, filthy place in Philadelphia. That's how you know that this schedule was fixed. Let's see. What's going on, Ryan D, man? Thanks for popping into the stream, man. Do you think the Eagles take a big step back? The one thing I'll say about the Eagles, and I don't think they take a big step back. The Eagles are really talented. But the one thing that I think some people may be overlooking about the Eagles, just a little bit, they lost both of their coordinators, right? They lost their offensive and defensive coordinator. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I haven't looked at the Eagles' schedule, and I'm sure it's not nearly as hard as ours because the NFL hates us. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles come out a little slow. And maybe they get picked off by a team that you don't expect. I could see them getting off to a little bit of a slow start, right? Because they got a new play caller on both sides of the ball. But the Eagles are really good. The Eagles are the clear favorite to win this division. Christmas in Philly. Exactly. It's disgusting. Pettis says, and we're probably, I don't want to talk about that. DJ will improve his primetime record. Well, it can't get much worse if we're being honest, but that's not really DJ's fault. That's more of the team around him. But he finally did win a primetime game last year against Washington. I think it was Washington, right? The primetime win that he had. I think it was the Sunday night game. But yeah, it can't get much worse. I think he was like 0-9 or something on primetime. Now he's got 4. I think he's going to win. I'm calling right now. I think we're beating Dallas. Week 1, I think we're going to beat Dallas. And then we have, what's the other? We have Seattle. I think we're going to win that game. Home, Monday Night Football. I think we're going to win that game. Let me look at the rest of it. Let me see. What was the 49ers. That'll be tough. And then we have the Packers off the bye. I think we're going to win 3 of those games if I had to guess. I think we're going to go 3-1 on those primetime games. Let's see. Ryan says, I swear if the Giants get blown out on Christmas Day, I will do something. What that something is, I don't know, but I'll do something. Let's see. Mike Nixon says, defensive coordinator was a big loss. I have people happy that Gannon's gone. The people who think it's a big loss don't know football. I mean, whenever you switch coordinators, I get that like Eagles fans said he was horrible, and I know he didn't have a great Super Bowl. The Eagles had 70 sacks last year. Like, how does he get no credit? the Eagles had the most sack, one of the highest sack totals in the history of the NFL, and he got a head coaching job. He couldn't have been that bad. And it's a change of a defensive coordinator. So I do think I think that there is a little bit of a hiccup to start the year. Let's see what we got. Schedule is wrong. Commanders is home. Week 7 is now home. Okay. Well, that's good. So that breaks up the schedule a little bit better. So now, all right. So let's look at the schedule then. So, okay. Well, now it doesn't look quite as bad in terms of the travel aspect, if that's accurate. And I'm sure it is because the schedule is officially coming out now. So that at Washington game is now a home game. So okay. So now you got home, away, home, away, home, home, away, home. Not nearly as bad, especially when you factor in that nice little mini bye week to start the year with the Thursday night game with the Monday. I like that. That's one of my favorite little overlooked parts of our schedule. I like that little rest at the start of the year. So it looks a lot better now, right? Now that it's a little bit more balanced. Of course, now you got a road game week 11. So, okay, now we got 3 road games in a row. So, I don't know. Now it's away, 3 in a row. But at least it breaks it up a little bit better over the first 8 games. But it just added another road game on the back end. So, I don't know. Still not great, but better. Bill Sutton. All right, so this schedule is completely off. What the hell? Art Staple, did you? Okay, where's the schedule? Hold on. Okay, this is the schedule, guys. We've been talking about the wrong schedule the entire time because everybody told me this is official. This is the schedule. This is the Giants' schedule. This is from the Giants, so I could trust that. Week 1, Sunday Night Football, Giants, Cowboys. Week 2, at Arizona. Week 3, at the 49ers, as was said. Home against Seattle, as was said, Monday Night Football. 2 road games in a row, at Miami, at Buffalo. Then that Washington game, as was said, is a home game. The Buffalo game is a Sunday night game. So now you've got the Giants play, holy crap. The Giants play 4, and I said that Bills game was going to be a primetime game, by the way. Storyline is just way too good. I was shocked. I saw the initial schedule that was not a primetime game. Brian Dable, Joe Shane, Buffalo Bills. I mean, one of the best teams in the NFL. That only makes sense. So the Giants have 4 primetime games in their first 6 games. Sunday night, 4 o'clock, Thursday night, Monday night, 1 o'clock, Sunday night. Then home against Washington, home against the Jets, technically. Then at the Raiders, at the Cowboys, at Washington. So we still get that point in the schedule where we have 3 straight road games in a row. Then we get New England, then the bye, then Green Bay. So it's still not great. Like it just made that cushion that we thought was going to be more favorable at, where we'd be home for 4 straight weeks. Now that's reduced to 3 if you include the bye, and we have to play 3 straight road games. But it's a little bit better. It is. When you look at the travel there at the start of the schedule, it definitely broke it up a little bit better. But I still don't like that we're playing 3 straight road games in the middle of the schedule. But the Raiders game, I think, is a game we should win. I don't care if that game's played on Pluto. And I think the Washington game is a game we should probably win. Then you got New England, you got the bye, you got Green Bay, you got at the Saints, at the Eagles, and then 2 home games to close it out. So the only change there was the Bills became a Sunday night game, and Washington, it was swapped. The road game was in the wrong spot. The home game was in the wrong spot. So the Giants have 5 scheduled primetime games. What's going on, guys? The Giants have 5 scheduled primetime games, and they play on Christmas. So that's kind of like 6 scheduled primetime games, and that's without the flex. That's more primetime games than we've had since our last Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm kidding, but it feels that way. The Brian Dable effect. Holy crap. 5 night games and a Christmas game. Grim says, think we have a serious advantage week 1 because our offense is going to be extremely different with the new pieces added. Think it'll stun McCarthy. I think we just have a much better coach. And I think having all off season to prepare, I think it's advantage Dable, especially that we're at home. Yeah, I think it's advantage Giants there, and that they have a new coordinator. I like that matchup week 1. Let's see. We're a top 10 fan, but let's see. Primetime Danny Dimes. I'm excited for that Bills game. I obviously it's gonna be a tough game to win, but I'm excited for that. I might have to go to that game. Buffalo primetime, Dable, Shane. Oh, that's a great storyline, isn't it? And think about last year. Nobody was picking the Giants to beat the Ravens, right? We beat the Ravens when we were coming back from London. Why do you think at least part of the reason why that was? Wink Martindale knew them pretty well, didn't he? Brian Dable and Joe Shane know the Bills pretty well, don't they? If there was like a shocker game on this schedule that I could see the New York Giants pulling an upset, like if you got to say, what's the shocker? Is it one of the Eagles games? Is it the Bills game? Is it the Niners game? I think we could beat the Niners too. I don't even know if that's so much of a shocker if Darnold's going to be the quarterback, but they're really good. I wouldn't be shocked if we play the Bills really tough and maybe steal a game in Buffalo. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not picking it. They're really good. I wouldn't be shocked. Tana, the way I see it, if we get through week 10, 500 or better, we will make the playoffs. I hope so, Jacob. Let's see. I'm excited, man. Allen throws a lot of interceptions week. Yeah, I agree. I was really disappointed with Josh. If you watch my channel, you know I'm a huge Josh Allen fan. Like, I think he's uber talented. But last year, he was in my opinion, one of the more disappointing players in the league. He's still one of the best quarterbacks, but he had a disappointing year for me last year. Goatman says, Tana, do you think that Kayvon is excited about all these primetime games? Of course. Of course. Chris, go on the Giants YouTube channel and watch what video? I don't know. What video are we talking about? If Neal, Waller, Barkley, and DJ have decent years, we are playoff bound. Let me just post the schedule for anybody that's popping in. Like, this is the official schedule, guys. Not much different, to be fair. Not much different than what was being reported. The one major shift was Washington was out of place. The home game was earlier. The road game was later. And we're playing an additional primetime game against Buffalo. So, super excited about that. I don't think we have a chance against the Niners, but I think we could get lucky versus the Bills. I kind of agree with you. I don't, even with Darnold, I just don't like the way we match up with the 49ers. I just don't. I don't like the way we match up with them. They're going to be so hard to cover. I mean, my God. Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, McCaffrey coming out of the backfield. He's as good a wide receiver as anybody on that team. Yeah, they're going to be tough. They have a really good defense. The 49ers scare me. I'm not even going to lie about that. They're really good. Let's see what we got. Goatman says, can't wait to just sit on my couch and drink a beer while watching 5 Giants games this year without feeling guilty from day drinking. Let's go, Goat. Let's see. Could we beat any? I'm curious, by the way. Guys. Do the Giants have the most primetime games in the NFL this year? They got to be close. They probably don't. It's probably like the Chiefs. But 5 is a lot. That's a lot. I mean, that's almost a third of our schedules on night. 5 out of 17 games are not. And if you include Christmas, it's kind of 6. I can't imagine a team has more than 6 scheduled primetime games before the year starts, especially when you factor in that every team has to play a Thursday night game. That's a lot, man. Sherrod says that's the only favor that the NFL gave us. Yeah. Let's see. J.R. Wood says, I know this is forward thinking, but to the 2024 season, we play the NFC South, so that schedule should be very favorable for us. Yeah, I mean, you never know, right? Year to year, things change drastically. What if Bryce? I think, they took Young. What if Bryce Young becomes like this incredible quarterback? Then suddenly your opinion changes drastically about the Carolina Panthers. But yeah, yes, if you're projecting and guessing, yeah, the Saints probably aren't going to be great. The Bucks aren't going to be very good. So yeah, that's nice. I'll worry about 2024 when it gets here. But yeah, that's, I guess, a positive way to look at it. You say, well, the Giants will be even better in 2024. These players will be further developed. They'll have another year to implement more players through the draft. Jones will be even more acclimated to the scheme. Evan Neal will be even more far along as a pro. We'll have the extra home game, and we play a more favorable schedule in 2024. But I'm going to enjoy 2023. Last year was one of the most enjoyable seasons I've ever had as a Giants fan. I've been watching the team since 96-ish. It's obviously not up there with the Super Bowls. The 2000 year when we lost, that was one of my favorite Giants teams ever. 2007, 2011 doesn't touch those teams, but it's close after that. I mean, the 2008 team is the best. For me, I don't go back to the 80s. The 2008 team, just in terms of talent, is the best Giants team I've ever seen. Burrs just shot himself. But last year was a lot of fun. So I'm going to enjoy this year. I'll worry about 2024 when it gets here. But yeah, the schedule is definitely going to set up, at least as of now, looks like it'll be favorable. Chargers got 6 primetime games. So they're going to continue to, I mean, my God, call me crazy. Maybe there's a hot take. And I'm not taking anything away from him in terms of his talent. He's great. He's going to be a really good, great quarterback. Am I crazy to say that at this point in time, Justin Herbert is overrated? Am I crazy? That, like, people anoint this guy to be like a top 3 or 4 quarterback already in the league. What has he done? He's made one playoff game, and he coughed up like a 28-point lead to the Jaguars. I don't know. I think people are jumping the gun a little bit on Mr. Herbert because of his flowing locks. I don't know. What's up there, BLK, man? Thanks for popping in the stream, man. What's up there, Afghanistan, man? Thanks for popping in. Omni Nations, what's up, man? Tempest says, honestly, I feel like the Giants are better not playing primetime. Every game the Giants played in primetime, they lost last season. Well, no, that's not true. They beat Washington on primetime. We didn't play a whole lot on primetime, right? We played Dallas. We played Washington. I think we only played 2 primetime, right? I agree with you on Lawrence. I'm a big fan of Trevor Lawrence. I think Lawrence is going to be really good. I think Herbert's really good too. I just think people are putting the cart before the horse. Like, show me a little more before I start saying that you're in that tier, right? Show me a little bit more. Jai says, I think Herbert is super talented, just can't put it together when it matters. And it's not like he hasn't had help. And I will say the one knock that I think is very fair, but I think it was very fair for Daniel Jones too. Brandon Staley sucks. Like, how does that guy still have a job? He's a horrible head coach. Like, what were the Chargers thinking? So I get that part of the argument when it comes to Herbert, but I don't know. I feel like people are jumping the gun a little bit on Herbert before they should. Let's see. Robert says, also wonder how well the new turf is going to do for our team. I think it's our best offseason acquisition. Mikel says Vegas has this as +8. Yeah, that's what I said earlier. I think that's appropriate. I mean, I think we're going to be above it, but I think it's fair to say we're going to be right around 8 to 9 wins. I could understand the line. Let's see. Staley better than Joe Judge? I mean, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Staley is like the opposite of Joe Judge. Like, Joe Judge was way too conservative, and Staley is just way too aggressive. And I like aggressive coaches, but Staley's just like, come on. Like, he's like aggressive to a fault. So he's kind of like the opposite of Joe Judge, but both of them suck. MYG31 says, why we always have Eagles towards the end of the season? Yeah, I mean, you're always going to play a divisional foe the last week. That's the way the NFL schedule is. It just so happens that the last couple of years it's been the Eagles, but it's always either going to be the Cowboys, the Eagles, or the Washington. That's the way that they do it, right? You play a divisional team the last week of the year, but it just so happens that the last 2 years it's been the Eagles. Nick, what's going on, man? DJ showed me that he could be clutch. It is the opposite for Herbert, unfortunately. I mean, Herbert's still really young. Like, I'm not going to say he's a choker, but he did choke last year. I'll tell you that. As much as people don't want to say that, but he was part of that. He's the quarterback. He's the most important player on the team. But I don't want to necessarily label him a choker, but I think he's got to prove more before I say this guy's a top 3-4 quarterback in the NFL. Jets have 5 primetime games. I expected that. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, right? I mean, you knew that Aaron Rodgers sells. New York, Aaron Rodgers is kind of like when Brett Favre came there, right? You expected them to get a lot of the primetime games. I mean, I expected us to get more primetime games too. I think when people, not this many, but I think when people ask me, Chris, what's going to be the primetime games? I said 2 divisional games. I thought we would get a Cowboys and Eagles primetime game. We only got 1. We didn't get any Eagles. Well, I guess if you count Christmas, but in terms of night games, we only got 1. We got the Cowboys. So I said Eagles, Cowboys. I said the Bills. I just thought the storyline made way too much sense. And I thought either the 49ers, I thought we would get 1 more, whether it was the 49ers. I thought we'd get 4. That's what I thought we were going to get. We got 5. It didn't distribute the way that I thought, though. So I'm excited, though, man. I like that we're getting respect. Even though I don't always love playing on primetime because you got work the next day. I got to stream after the game. I mean, I love doing it, but, sometimes I'm up till 1:30 in the morning after a Monday night game. So we're on the road all year except week 1, right? Yeah. What's up, Big Pat? Actually, the schedule changed. That's our schedule. It's a little bit better. Like in our first 8 games now, we actually play 4-4. So it's that one change made the beginning of the schedule much better, but then we get hit with the 3 in a row road, but then we play 2 home, and we have the bye, which is we're staying at home. So it's better. It's still not great, but you knew when the schedule came out that there was going to be a window where we got slaughtered because we were playing 1 extra road game. Last year we had the 1 extra home game. So I'm not surprised that we have a stretch there where we have 3 straight road games. But the way that it broke up because of the shift in the Washington game made the schedule much more bearable, I think, for most Giants fans, if I had to guess. Good to see you, Pat. Jai says, I'm so excited. I wish the NFL season could be longer. Not seriously, though. I love the NFL season. I can't wait for the NFL. I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't. I'm not gonna lie to you, Jai. I'm a little bit worried about the Knicks tomorrow. Obviously I want to win, and I think we have a chance, but it's gonna be tough going to South Beach. And Jalen Brunson played 48 minutes. Grimes played 48 minutes. It's a short rest. Like, you only have 1 day off in between, and you're traveling. If the Knicks put forth an effort tomorrow night and they keep that game close and they have a chance to win in the last 2 or 3 minutes, I'm gonna be beyond thrilled. And if they could ever steal that game and get back to the Garden for Game 7, I think that's gonna be a really tough game to win tomorrow. But we'll see. We'll see what they're made of. I'm excited for the Knicks tomorrow. Let's see. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll stream the game. Yeah, you know what? I think I will. I just know everybody streams the games, and I've been enjoying watching it from my couch. But yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I will. We'll see. Maybe I will stream the game tomorrow. We'll see. I probably will. I think I will. Solomon says, I'd rather play the Raiders, Cowboys, Washington than home by home rather than the Dolphins, Bills, and Washington, Jets home, and back-to-back away. So you like the schedule the way it was originally? I like it better this way. I think it's a little bit more evenly distributed, especially because there's a bye, like almost directly after that 3-game road stretch. So me personally, I like it a little bit better this way. I mean, I don't love either scenario, but I knew I wasn't going to love the distribution no matter what took place before it came out because of the extra road game. So you knew that there was going to be one part of the schedule where you're like, ugh. So I like it a little bit better the way it played out. Oh, you like it now, you mean? Okay, yeah. Melvin says, look at the Giants tweet, the one before the schedule tweet. All right, let me take a quick look. All right, Giants. Time to update those lock screens. Love it. What is it? I don't think this is the one you were talking about, but what is this? So which games are we going to? Giant schedule. Me figuring out which games I'm going to. The NFL. Okay. I thought it was going to be something different, like talking about how tough the schedule was. Single game tickets are now on sale. Giants trying to make that money. NFL schedule release. Go watch now. Oh, is this what you're talking about? The escape? I saw this earlier. I haven't gotten to watch the whole video in its entirety. I'm guessing on their channel it's like a longer video, and this is just like, oh, it's actually 5 minutes. Should we watch this? Do you guys want to watch this? I'll let the chat decide. Do you want to watch the escape room with the Giants? Stanley says, hey, Chris, I think Bryce Ford Wheaton is going to take the roster because I think he's better than some of the wide receivers that's on. He's got a chance. I mean, obviously, they made a financial commitment to him. They gave him like $250,000 guaranteed. So he's got a chance. All right, let's watch it. Let's check it out.
Welcome to the escape game.
Bet.
This is all we get?
Trying to tell you.
Here are a few things you need to know before you begin your adventure to find the 2023 schedule.
That's one of the girls. Yeah.
You have about 60 minutes to find clues, overcome challenges, and complete
I've done a
your
couple of
mission.
these, by the
No
way.
need for any running, climbing,
They're pretty cool.
or excessive force.
My
If you
sister
get stuck
loves
or have
these.
any questions, I'm here to help at all times.
The guys have 1 hour to collect each puzzle piece in each room to find the 2023 season schedule. The clock starts right now.
Yeah, we got this is a code. Oh, listen, there might be numbers in these pens.
Yeah.
Hey, here go a 4 right here. That's a 4.
Oh, it's probably in the collection numbers. I would think.
No, man,
Yeah, me
tripping.
too.
No, you tripping. I need this. Hey,
Everybody
say
gets
this.
frustrated with everybody when they do these.
Nah, that's not my number.
This butterfly looks suspicious. Hold on.
Hold on. Y'all knew this open? It's open like this?
Yeah, slide.
Yeah.
We gonna survive. We about to survive.
So what other puzzle pieces?
Might be one in all of these.
I'm going to check out the ticket prices after this Giants Chronicle. I haven't looked at them yet. We'll check that
Some
out.
open up? Yeah, I turned the key on this. Oh, for real?
Oh, let me see the key.
Nah, is a key in there?
No, stick your
I ain't sticking my damn arm out there.
Yo, feeling on that wall.
Oh,
Come on, bro.
bro, stop playing.
This man's so childish. He said the plaque's under the bus.
Make you face each other. Face each other. Why? Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me.
Yes, sir.
We in.
Just take the door open.
We in.
Open it.
Hey, yo, we got 49 minutes.
I better hit the button right when you walk in.
Man, I ain't trying to waste no more time.
Have you found all 24 puzzle pieces around the room?
24. Got 2 right here. We got DJ. I don't know why. I don't know what we need this.
Here go another right here.
I got 2.
We need it for something, man.
Hey, put them on the table. Another one right here.
Dang, Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
Daniel
Here
Jones.
go 2 more right here. I really feel like I'm robbing somebody's house. This is sad. Here goes some here. The pockets. Here go 2 more.
I'm going to look up the Giants prices.
Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. Don't play with it. 1-3-17. This is not right.
Oh, hell! We got 2 more. And here they go.
You definitely missing some. 4 corners. Hey, but what do these 2 pictures got to do with that? That's what I'm confused about.
This has to be. Oh, NY?
Oh, type in, put NY 23. NYG 23.
Oh, yeah, an NYG 23, yeah.
Man, that word, we awesome. You know, just you.
Okay. See. Here we go. Ah.
Oh, the helmet. Underneath the helmet, right
Right,
here.
under the helmet. Oh, the Joe just fucked up, dude.
Pull book 1, then book 0, then book 9, and then book 7.
1-0. Yeah, so you go first.
You can tell, like, these guys actually, I don't know, at least the vibe you get is they really like playing with each other, which is good. That's good.
Oh, there go the schedule right there. What were the numbers again?
1, 3, 7, 10.
1, 3, 7, 10.
Put your hand on it.
Wait, this is how they found out the schedule?
Security breach.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. I thought it was just an escape room video.
Why I say fake up there?
Wait, fake? F-A-K-E.
We gotta figure out the numbers at the watch list.
Have you noticed an F on the Scrabble board to help you spell out the word fake?
F is 4.
F is 4.
So 4, 2.
Man, we're doing mathematics. So that's a 2, 4, 2, and this is a 2.
4, 2, 5, 2.
4, 2, 5, 2.
Yeah, almighty. Top secret. Giant schedule.
That's pretty cool.
A little difficult now. Yeah, Slay over here holding out on the schedule.
Can I read it?
I said let up.
There you go. There's your schedule, ladies and gentlemen. There's your Giant schedule. So let's look at the ticket prices real quick. This is what happens when your team starts to play a little bit better. I haven't even looked at it. I'm going to imagine the ticket prices for the Giants Dallas. I'm sure a lot of you guys in the chat have probably already looked at it. So I'm not even going to look at the chat. I'm not looking at it right now. I'm looking at the StubHub page. I'm going to guess the cheapest ticket for Giants Dallas opening night, Sunday Night Football, cheapest ticket, $210. $210. Let's see. And that's for like the worst seats in the house. $170. So a little bit cheaper than I thought. Still a lot. You weren't having to pay. The Giants in 2021, 170 is going to get you on the 170 in 2021. You'd be sitting next to Daniel Jones on the bench. That's how close you'd be to the field for that price with the product of the team they put out there. Now 170, 170 gets you in the corner in like the last row of the stadium. So that's the cheapest price for opening night. Giants Dallas. Crazy, man. Let's see what we got. Watching Jerry Jones upset, priceless. Exactly. Daniel Jones was significantly. Let me see what he said. Daniel Jones significantly increasing his passing yards and touchdowns this year, and will have less rushing yards. I agree with that. I still think they're going to use his legs, but I don't think they'll use him as much. I don't think he's going to have like 750 rushing yards or whatever he had, and in only 16 games, by the way. He didn't play the last game, so he would have had about 800 yards. Which, by the way, I was ready to post the stat on Twitter had he done it. If Daniel Jones last year would have eclipsed 800 yards rushing, which he was probably going to do had he played the last week of the season, he would have been – I'm going to show you right now what he would have been. I looked up the stat because I was looking at it with like 3 games to go in the season. And I was like, he's trending towards doing this. I'm curious how many quarterbacks did it. 3,000 yards passing, 800 yards rushing in a season. Had he done it, this is the list of quarterbacks that have done that. Like 5 quarterbacks ever. Maybe it was less. It was not many. Let me see. That's the list. 3,000 yards rushing, 3,000 yards passing, 800 yards rushing. It's been done by Randall Cunningham in 1990. RG3 his rookie year, obviously before the injury when he was incredible. Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray. Had he had, what did he finish, like 740 or 50 rushing yards and he sat out the last game? Had he hit the 800, he would have been only the 6th quarterback in the history of football to throw for 3,000 and rush for 800 in the same year. So Daniel Jones had a good year last year, especially when you factor in the cast he had around him and that he was in a new offensive system. He had a damn good year. Let's see what we got. Hey, and it just popped in. How does the schedule look? Better than what was initially projected. We play off the top of my head without looking at the schedule. We play we open up against Dallas on prime. We play 5 primetime games and a Christmas game against the Eagles. We open up against Dallas on Sunday Night Football. We then go to Arizona. We play at San Francisco. Then another primetime game on Monday Night Football against Seattle. Home. and then we go on the road for 2 straight. I think I'll pull up the schedule. Why am I guessing? Let me just pull up the schedule. I'll just pull up the schedule that I have saved, and I'll make the adjustment because this wasn't completely accurate. We play at the Dolphins, at the Bills. The Bills is also primetime. That's on Sunday Night Football. That's our 3rd primetime game. Fourth prime. That's our 4th primetime game. We play the Niners on Thursday night. So Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night. This game is on Sunday night. It wasn't initially reported. Then this is actually a home game. It says road. It's a home game. The Washington game, then the Jets, then at the Raiders, at the Cowboys. Then this is a road game. So we play 3 straight road games there after those 2 home games with the shift to the Washington. Then we play Patriots home, bye, Packers home, at the Saints, at the Eagles, Rams, Eagles, and another primetime game there, Monday night. So 5 night games and a Christmas game. So wild. I'm super excited this year, man. Super excited. Let me see. What? So I just removed myself. Let me get rid of you. But that's the schedule. Y'all called the schedule perfect last year. Yeah, I mean the schedule was pretty favorable last year. Even though the schedule turned, I don't think the schedule's perfect this year at all. I think it's a challenging schedule. But last year, yeah, the schedule looked favorable going in, and I think it was at least a pretty favorable schedule. I don't think the schedule was as favorable as it looked preseason because Detroit ended up being a better team. Seattle ended up being a better team than almost anybody thought they were going to be. Jacksonville probably ended up being a bit better than people thought they would be. So, but obviously we also had some pleasant surprises. Green Bay wasn't as good as we thought they were going to be. So, the Lions were better than people thought they were going to be. So, I think it was a pretty favorable schedule, but not as favorable as we thought it was going to be going in. And Brady, man, thank you very much, man. We're all going to open our gift Christmas when we beat, dude. If we ever beat Philadelphia on Christmas, dude, I'll be going bananas. Like, that'll be the best Christmas gift ever. No Mets, no Jets says, enough with opening the season versus Dallas, over it. But at least it's not in Dallas. I like it because we're home. It's traditionally always at Dallas. At least we're home. I actually like it. H1000 says, Slayton, Campbell, Hyatt have potential of being true number 2s. If Slayton doesn't drop, Campbell doesn't get injured, and Hyatt can fight off press man cover. I think we have a bunch of guys that are capable of being 2s. I agree with that. I just don't think we have. I mean, our 1 is Waller. But we need a traditional wide receiver that could be a 1. I don't think we have that on the roster. But, yeah, I agree. We have a bunch of 2s and 3s. Dom says, I say 8 to 10 wins this year. It's a tougher schedule. I agree. I think going into the year, I expect around the same win total as last year because of the schedule. Not because I think the team's better, but the schedule's harder. Danny Dimes should be Eli plus, no? I ain't going to go that far. He's got a lot more to prove before I'm saying that, man. I love Eli to death. I'll go to war for Eli Manning. He's got a lot more to prove before I go there, but I love Daniel Jones. He's my guy. He's my quarterback. And he had a huge step up last year. Timothy says we're better than the Cowboys after our offseason. We got to prove that. I think we could be, but you got to beat them. We haven't beaten them in forever. Haven't beaten them with Dak on the field since 2016. So we got to beat them before I say that. Alvaro says, looking at the roster and the schedule, are the Giants a legit Super Bowl contender? No, I'm not going to say that yet. But you never know. I mean, that's the beauty of the NFL. You never know. But no, I'm not going into the year that I'm not going to have Super Bowl expectations. But I think we're a playoff team. And I think we're trending towards becoming a Super Bowl team, but not yet. Michael says, yeah, I agree about the win total. Schedule is definitely tougher. Yeah. Durant says, am I the only one that's not scared of Philly's acquisition of Swift? Hasn't played a full season. I'm not scared of it. I think he's a moderate upgrade over Miles Sanders. I think he's a little bit better. But no, I'm not scared of it. He's not what scares me about the Eagles. It's their offensive line and their weapons, right? Their wide receivers. But yeah, he's a weapon too. He's a good player, but he's not what scares me about the Philadelphia Eagles. It's their trenches, their offensive and defensive lines. And Brady says, come on, Chad, over 600 on here, 300. Yeah, spike the like. I appreciate it. I don't say it enough, but I appreciate you guys for being here. Chris D says, Chris, who are your 6 to 7 wide receivers starting 2023 season? Hodgins, Campbell, Slayton, Hyatt, I think Jeff Smith makes the team. I'm not saying he's the 5, but I think he makes the team, so that's 5. And then I think they're going with 7. Then you got, then the battle's Shepard, Crowder, Wheaton. Who am I forgetting? I know I'm forgetting somebody. Who am I forgetting? Wandell. Wandell, of course. Wandell's a shoo-in. So there's 6 shoo-ins. I think Jeff Smith's a shoo-in. I think he's I shouldn't say shoo-in, but I think there's a very good chance he makes the team because of special teams. So I think that's 7 spots. Probably Shep, but it could be Crowder. It could be Wheaton. But yeah, I think Smith, because of his special teams, is making this team. So that's what I think it's going to be. But maybe Wandell's put on the pup to start the year. Maybe he's put on the pup. Brady says, just because, bro. Much love and support, brother. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much, man. Danny Dimes should be Eli plus around this point compared. Let's see. I don't think Colin Johnson. Maybe he will. They obviously really liked him last year. But I think it's going to be really hard for him to make the team. I hope he does. I'm rooting for everybody. But I think it's going to be really hard for him to make the team. We have a lot of competition in the wide receiver room right now. But, hey, injuries happen. So the more the merrier, man. The more competition, the more depth that we have going into camp, the better, man. Hey, Chris, what's your prediction on Jalen Hyatt? Do you predict he will blow up? No, I do not think he'll be Rookie of the Year. I hope he is, but no, I don't. I'm going to go in with moderate expectations in his rookie year. I think he'll have some big plays. I think he'll have some big plays. But yeah, I would say, I'm not, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 yards. I don't think he's going to be like a featured wide receiver year one. I just think we have too many. I just think we have a lot of depth at that position. But hey, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe he'll come out of the gates flying and he'll be our leading wide receiver. But I'm not going to set those expectations year one. Who do you think gives us our biggest challenge this season? Eagles. Sticky Fingers says, Paul Latino said, don't be surprised if Shep and Wandell both start the season on the pup. Yeah, I kind of think that's probably what will happen. Just so they could ensure that they don't lose Wheaton. Those guys are still probably a bit banged up. And I think that's why they probably brought in Crowder, because Crowder's kind of similar to Shep in terms of the style of wide receiver that he is. So I think they're kind of, at least halfway expecting that Shep may start on the injured reserve or the pup. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case at all. Christy says, Banks really isn't an interception guy, but I hope he becomes one. I just want, just be good in car. Obviously, the interceptions are great, but just lock down your wide receiver, man. Max says, did you hear about Dable testing out Hyatt at punt return? I did. I could see it. He's fast. He's explosive. I'm completely open to that. As he evolves as a wide receiver and becomes a more integral part of the offense, I may not be in love with it. But year one, being that I think he's probably 4th on the depth chart at the position, at least going in. Yeah, I'm completely open to that, man. If he could create big plays in the punt return game, flip the field, for sure. Do you think Brightwell makes the team? Yeah. Yes. I think he's the clear 4th running back. So if they go with 4, yes. And I'm leaning they will go with 4. But if they only go with 3 and say an H-back, like a Myrick, I would go no. I think he's clearly 4th on the depth chart. Obviously, they favor Gray. They drafted the guy. So I would go yes, but I wouldn't be shocked if he gets cut. But he's a special teams contributor. He runs hard. I hope he makes the team. Good depth guy. Do you think DJ will run? No, I don't. I don't think he'll run for more yards. I think he's going to throw for more yards. I think he's going to throw for over 4,000 yards this year. Yeah, Brightwell's a good special teams contributor. I think I could see Gray being a kick returner. I think they talked about that too. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think he has kick return experience. I think. Crowder, I know, has punt return experience. So if he makes the team, he could potentially fill that void if they want to go that route. Pat says, Banks on CD game 1, throw him in the fire. Right? Yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting. I mean, because they got Cooks too. I think I'd actually put him on Cooks. I think Big Pat. I think I'd put him on Cooks because Cooks to me is more of like a straight line speed guy. CD's more of I think I'd put a Dory on CD. Yeah, I would put Banks on Cooks because I think Banks is, at least at this point, his biggest attribute, is he could go stride for stride with, a guy like Cooks on the outside. So I think that'll be the matchup if I had to guess. I think they'll put Banks on Cooks, and I think they'll put a Dory on CD. What's up, Nate? The man, thanks for popping in the stream, buddy. And Ryan D says, I don't know why when talking about Dallas receivers, no one talks about Gallup. Gallup's really good too. Listen, Gallup is really good. Every time Gallup plays the Giants, I'm like, I wish he was a Giant. Like he's underrated. I feel he and maybe it's just because I've been so deprived as a Giants fan watching our wide receivers. But the one thing that really stands out to me every time we play the Cowboys, Gallup is great at going back at snatching the football. And I feel like we don't have receivers like that go back to the ball and help out their quarterback. They kind of just stay there and wait for the ball to come to them. The one thing that always stands out to me with Gallup whenever I watch the Cowboys, he just snatches the football. He's a good receiver. Let's see what we got. And yeah, Jay, hit the like. I appreciate it. Hawkins is definitely making the roster. We drafted him in the 6th round. And I think he's going to contribute on special teams. Let's see. Probably one snap is Adoree against Gallup. Next snap is Banks against Gallup. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll move it around, but I think Banks I could see him matched up on Cooks. I just think that's a good fit for him. Yeah, like a straight line speed guy. Nelson says, Chris, there was a mistake in our schedule. Yeah, I know. Chris, can you pull up the NFC? Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. Let's look at the Eagles schedule. I'm sure the Eagles schedule is probably more favorable than ours because it just always seems to be. But let's take a look. We already know when they play us. I'm looking for the official schedule because obviously we know that there's a lot of fake schedules that get released. Here we go. Here it is. Okay, let me share that. This was 14 seconds ago, so I'm going to assume this is it. So this is the Philadelphia Eagles schedule. At the Patriots, how many prime? They only got 4 night games. How is that? We got more night games than the Eagles? We got one more night game than the Eagles did. And they're coming off a Super Bowl. I'm surprised by that. They're coming off a Super Bowl appearance. At the Patriots week 1. Vikings Thursday night. At the Bucs. Home against the Commanders. Come on. I don't think the Vikings are going to be very good this year. I think Eagles are going to start at least 3-1, probably 4-0. At the Rams, at the Jets, Dolphins home, Sunday Night Football, at the Commanders, Cowboys, bye week, at the Chiefs, Bills. At least it gets hard there. At the Chiefs, Bills, Niners, at the Cowboys, at Seattle. That's their tough part. Weeks 11 to 15. Seattle, of course, really tough to play in. They might go 1-4 in that. I don't think they will, but then 2-3. They might go 2-3 in that stretch. That's a tough stretch. But before that, I mean, Mike, come on, man. And then they play us and the Cardinals. Yeah, their schedule's easier than ours. Let's look at the Cowboys schedule. Look at the Cowboys schedule. Let's see. Well, it's all people that I follow because I guess they mentioned the Cowboys. What the hell, man? Latest. Let's go latest. Here we go. Obviously, they play us. They play us on Sunday Night Football. Then they play the Jets. That's at home. So they play both New York teams. Then at Arizona, New England, at San Francisco. That's a primetime game. At the Chargers, another primetime game. So they got hit by the double West Coast trip too, like us. We had Arizona and San Fran back to back. They have San Fran and the Chargers back to back. Then they have the bye relatively early. Then the Rams. Then at Philadelphia, us at Carolina, Washington, Seattle, Philly. They get three every freaking year. And I don't complain about much. And I'm whatever. It's whatever. But every year, it does not matter. It never fails. If you look at a Dallas Cowboys schedule, Jerry Jones must have the commissioner in his back pocket. Every year, the Cowboys have a stretch during their schedule where they play 3 straight home games. It never fails. Washington, Seattle, Philly, late in the year, all home. Then at Buffalo, at Miami, Detroit, at Washington. I don't know. I mean, it's not an easy schedule. It's tough. We're going to kick their ass week 1. But I don't really care about Washington. They stink. Let's see what we got. With our roster now, we're going to enjoy the primetime games this year. Let's go. Do you think Darnay Holmes will make the team? I'm like 50-50 on him because of his salary. Because we could save $3 million if we cut him. I could definitely see him being cut, but maybe he makes the team. Sam says, highly unlikely, but Chris, would you do a Julio Jones type trade package to move up from 25 to the top 5 to get Marvin Harrison? I mean, that's so hard for me to answer right now. I have to know what the team looks like at the end of the year. I mean, I'll say this about Marvin Harrison Jr. He's one of the best prospects I've ever seen coming out of college at the wide receiver position. Like, if you watch him play at Ohio State, you know, like, it's as obvious as any wide receiver prospect I've seen in the last 10 years. He's going to be a superstar. So if you were ever going to make a move like that for a wide receiver, it would be him. I think he's going top 3 or 5 in next year's draft. Of course, you can't predict that because going into this, before this year's college season started, you would have said JSN was going to be a top 7 pick, 8 pick. And obviously the injury fell back. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is really good. I don't think I would, though. I don't think I'd give up that kind of package to move up and get him. I don't think I would do that. I'm green. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I love how Washington has been talking smack, saying they'll beat us when they never do, and their team didn't get better. Well, we'll knock Washington around. Stanley says, "Hey Chris, what are the odds of Jordan Riley making the roster?" I think he's made. I've seen some roster predictions say he's not making the team. I think he's making the team. I mean, maybe they throw him on the practice squad, but they drafted the guy. Now there is a lot of it all depends on how many defensive linemen they go with, I suppose, right? And they may say to themselves, what's the point of carrying both him and DJ Davidson because they're similar? We have a lot of depth there as is. So maybe they only go with one. And if they feel like Riley won't go claimed, maybe they'll stick him on the practice squad. But I'm leaning that he's going to make the roster. Dodo Bird schedule. Oh my God. Let's see. Yeah, it's either him or because they're so similar, right? And it's kind of like it's the back end. Obviously, you know that Nacho and Robinson and obviously Leo and Dex. So if they're only going with 5, yeah, it's one of those guys are making the team. One of them's not. Maybe I don't know this, Mark, but maybe they throw like we were talking about the pup with Shepard. Maybe they do that with Davidson because Davidson's coming off an injury. So maybe they do that. And maybe they stick him on the opening day roster. They put Davidson on the pup. Maybe they do something like that. But yeah, I would lean towards what you just said. I think it's one of the others going to make the opening day roster. I don't think both will. But if they go with 6, they go with 6. Knicks are going to shock the world. Dude, if they ever win tomorrow, Game 7 is going to be wild, man. If they ever win tomorrow. Man. I'm nervous, though. I'm not going to lie. I'm nervous about tomorrow's game. It's going to be tough. Who are you most excited to see this year of the rookies? Let me ask the chat that question. I know my answer, and maybe it's boring. Let me ask the chat that question. Which rookie are you most excited about this season? For me, it's JMS. JMS. I want that nasty, tough center. JMS for me. But Hyatt's exciting. I'm excited to see Hyatt, but for me, it's JMS. I'm excited for Banks too. I'm a big fan of Banks. But yeah, for me, it's JMS. Let's see what we got. And I like Gray too. I'm excited for all of them. But if you're asking me to pick one, I'm picking JMS. And in terms of like training camp battles that I'm excited about, you want to talk about iron sharpens iron. You've got a rookie center that, obviously you want to progress quickly. Think about the experience this dude's going to get in training camp. JMS is going toe-to-toe with Dexter Lawrence. He's going toe-to-toe with Leonard Williams. He's going toe-to-toe with A'Shawn Robinson. That is one of the most, when I go to training camp, that's what I'm excited to see. I want to see that interior defensive line going up against JMS. Obviously, I'm excited about Hyatt versus Deontay Banks if they get paired up on one another. But yeah, I'm excited for that. Kayvon versus Neal. You want to see if Neal progresses as a player. But for sure, I think that JMS versus that interior defensive line, man, I'm excited for it. And I'm sure they're going to get the better of them. They're incredible, but it's still good for him to get that experience. Mine is Banks, but Chris, we know you dream of the 300-pound men. So your answer, yeah, of course. Not woke says, I feel we have shutdowns this year, definitely in DB squads. No, what's your potential shutdown defensive player list? Shutdown defensive player? What do you mean? Like in terms of like a shutdown corner? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't think we have. I mean, I think Banks could project to be one, but I don't think we have. Ador's really good, but I don't view him as like a lockdown corner. To me, a lockdown corner is like a really special player. But if you're asking me who's the most special player in our defense, I mean, right now you have to say Dex. Dex is the most special player in our defense. But Kayvon's, he's going to get there soon. Those two guys, I would say Dex and Kayvon. I think those are our two most special players on defense. But don't sleep on Bobby Okereke. Bobby Okereke is going to be a difference maker, man. But I would right now, you got to go with Dex. You got to go with Dex, but Kayvon's a monster. Let's see. I think we could agree that Joe addressed huge needs around the first 3 rounds. After day 3, it was more of depth play. Well, that's what you expect, Kevin. I mean, day 3, you want depth. You want guys that are going to contribute to the special teams, the back end of the roster. That's what you want. Maybe you get a diamond in the rough, right? Maybe you get an Ahmad Bradshaw. Maybe you get a Darius Slayton. Maybe you get a guy that becomes a starter, Julian Love, then really contributes to the football team. But when you're talking day 3, you want improved depth, right? You want that's what you're looking for, guys that could fill out the roster. Let's see. And you and me both, man. I can't wait for Kayvon. Danny says we should pick on O-lineman in the top 4 rounds ever. I agree. If I was a general manager, my draft board would weigh, if I had 7 picks a draft, if I was the GM, my draft board would weigh 2,000 pounds. I would draft at least 2 linemen a year with those 7 picks, whether it be the D-line or the O-line. Every year, I would have 2,000 pounds added to my roster in the draft. Every year. I am a firm believer you always draft line. I don't care how good your line is. Doesn't have to be in the first round. Like you said, could be in the 4th round, 5th round. You always draft trenches. You always improve the depth, the starting unit, always. So I am a complete agreement. Always draft linemen. Let's see what we got. Hey, Chris, is the NFL against the Giants? Why are they giving the Giants the hardest schedule in the league? Well, the Eagles still got an easy. Well, I don't think they have an easy schedule, but it's not quite as hard as ours. But My mic went out there for a second. I'm staying on a little bit later with you guys because I don't go, I haven't gone live a whole lot. We're going to switch to the crappy mic, actually, because this one just went out. I'm going to close this out in a couple minutes because I'm starving. I didn't eat dinner before this, but I wanted to hang out with you guys today. Exciting day. Talk about the schedule. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a video out, like really breaking down the schedule, going in depth, talking about each individual matchup when I have the time after work, putting out a schedule prediction. So really excited to look into that, dive into that. By the way, I know I asked in my last video, any video suggestions you guys have, I'm going to do like an NFC East like breakdown, like an in-depth breakdown, talking about the additions and the subtractions for each team throughout the division, whether it be the draft, free agency, departures, gains, So I'm going to do that probably sometime next week. I'm going to do the schedule video that I'm going to do tomorrow. But any suggestions you guys have? Let's see. I wish the NFL would let teams expand the rosters to at least 60 players. I think eventually I don't know if it's going to be 60, but I think eventually they are going to. It's stupid that they don't. And I know they had some kind of provision that, like, I forgot what it is. There's like some kind of provision where you could carry, I want to say, extra players on your practice squad. There was some kind of provision they made a couple of years ago. But if you expand the schedule to 17 games, naturally there's going to be more injuries. So naturally you should have a larger roster. I agree with you. I don't know if it should be 60, but it should be 57, 56. Like, it should be more. Yeah, Fabian, be good, man. Possible breakout. Yeah, I'm going to have like hot take videos for sure. I'm going to have like opinion-based videos. Definitely going to be doing those. But I'm maybe wait a little bit closer to the season, but I'm definitely going to be doing that. I already have my players that I like this year that I think could break out for the Giants. Neil says, love your content. Biscuit and gravy at 5 is my suggestion. All right, Neil. Let's see. Tana, can you do a tier list ranking the quarterbacks? Yeah, I'll do that. I did that a couple of years ago. I remember, Mike, I did that video. I did a when I was doing a little bit of broad off-season content. You go back and watch the video. I did a video on the 5 most likely quarterbacks to break out in 2020. I got destroyed in the comments. Destroyed for the quarterback that I said was going to explode in 2020. Before it was cool to say he was good. Josh Allen. I said he was number 1. And that was the year that he exploded. But I think I had Jones 3rd, and that failed miserably. Jones didn't have a very good year. I think he was 3rd on my list. Mayfield was 2nd on my list, and he was actually pretty good that year. That was the year where he kind of rebounded, and I think the Browns went to the divisional round. But I never loved Mayfield. I just thought he had a really good cast. Jake says Hyatt week 1 against one of their weaker Cowboys corners could be nasty. Cowgirls struggle early on, normally in week 1. I could see Hyatt producing a big play. I just don't think he's going to be featured, especially early on in the season. But I could see him producing a big play. That undrafted free agent edge rusher we signed is miles better than Riley. We'll see. Do you think Colin? Did you see the NFC quarterback rankings? Has DJ 10th? Let me look at the NFC quarterbacks. Let me see. I mean, I'm going to try to be as fair as I can. I'll say this about DJ. I can't say it going into the year, but if you said to me, Chris, at the end of the year, could DJ be a top 2 or 3 quarterback in the NFC? I would say absolutely. The NFC, they don't have good quarterbacks. And I think Daniel Jones is going to be a good quarterback this year. Let me look at the NFC quarterbacks. You got to put Hurts above him. I hate saying that, but it's the truth. Right now, at least, you got to put him above him. Dak on the Cowboys, I mean, most people are going to put him above him. I think there's an argument to be had that I may rather have Jones personally, but Dak has the credentials. Dak has the stats. Dak has the wins. I think he's also had an incredible cast his entire career. I also think he was not very good last year. I think he led the league in interceptions, and he missed like 3 or 4 games or something, right? Washington, clearly not better than Daniel Jones. I think there's an argument to be had, even though Cousins puts up really good stats. There's an argument, but I can't fault somebody that puts Cousins above him. Goff had a good year last year. think I would rather have Jones personally. Goff has an incredible offensive line. He's got really good weapons. And it was year 2 in the same system last year. I personally would rather have Jones. I can't kill somebody that would say Goff, though. He had a really good year last year. Not Jordan Love. I'm taking Jones above Justin Fields. I know Justin Fields is like the flavor of the month, and everybody loves him because he makes highlight plays and he puts up incredible fantasy stats. Justin Fields, and he may end up being really good. Okay, I'm not saying it possibly can't be. Justin Fields has 5 wins throughout his entire career. He's never had a game where he's thrown for 300 yards. He had 2 games last year where he threw for over 200 yards, but because he has great fantasy stats, people are like anointing him as a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the NFC. Like, what are we talking about? They had the number 1 pick. How are you going to say that a guy is a top 3 or 4 quarterback in the conference that had the number 1 pick? The most important position on a football team. His team had the number 1 pick. I'm putting Daniel Jones above Justin Fields. Tampa Bay Bucks, Daniel Jones better. Carolina Panthers, Daniel Jones better, at least as of now. Maybe he turns into a great quarterback. Better than the Saints. Better than the Falcons. Better than the Niners. I know Purdy looked good last year. I ain't putting him above Daniel Jones. He was Mr. Irrelevant, and he was put into a heaven of a situation. Like, give Daniel Jones, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle. Give him all that. Christian McCaffrey. I could understand Geno. He had a great statistical year, albeit he was playing in the same system for like 3 years, even though he was the backup and had great wide receivers. But I could understand it. Rams, you want to argue Stafford, but Stafford, going forward, I'd rather have Daniel Jones. Stafford's on the wrong end of 35 or however old he is. He's not getting any younger. And, I mean, Kyler Murray, injuries, obviously, I can't argue people that say Murray, but so can I understand people who make an argument that Jones is going into the year 7th at the position? I would have him higher, but could I understand that argument? Yeah. If you go based off stats, if you go off of past progress, but 10th? No, that's wild. Not 10th. I could understand people who would say Cousins. I could understand people who would say Goff. I could understand people who say Dak. I could understand people that say Hurts. Nobody in the South. Nobody. Geno, I guess, because of his stats last year. Stafford and maybe Kyler. Like at the absolute lowest should be 8. I would have him higher. I'd probably have him 5 going into the year. And I think he could be as good as 2 by the end of the year. I really do. I don't think there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the NFC. And I think Jones is going to have a good year. Let's see. Smoking crack. What am I smoking crack about? What has the guy done? Justin Fields. He had the number. If Daniel Jones had the number 1 pick, these same people that say that Justin Fields is this great quarterback, they would be destroying Daniel Jones. They'd be destroying him. Let's see. Let's see. I think DJ's best season is way better than Kyler. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Kyler's definitely good. He definitely has really good attributes and tools. I've never been a big fan of Kyler. He's definitely super talented. He's talented. I would rather have Jones, personally. But I obviously understand people that say Kyler. But I would rather have Jones, especially when I take into account work ethic. I mean, it's been like Kyler's, it's been very, very questionable in terms of, the stuff that came out with his contract, how they were forcing him to, watch film. And I know people blame Cliff Kingsbury this past year. He's now had injury troubles. I would rather have Jones. I really would. But I'm not going to fight people that say Kyler. I understand the argument. Crack. Let's see. Eagles week 16 and 18, 7-10 first games on the road. Why does it? Because we're the Giants. Slink says DJ with a year or 2 with Fitz, he'd have put up better. No, I think DJ is going to make a lot of people who say crack look like crack this year. That's my prediction. There's my hot take. I think DJ, everybody that's saying crack, I think he's going to make you look like you're on crack at the end of this year. I think DJ's going to have a very good year. But guys, I'm going to close it out. I'm starving. Thank you guys for tuning in the stream. Appreciate all you guys. I'll have a video out tomorrow. I don't know. I'll probably go live sometime next week. When I feel like if there's something worth talking about. As the season gets closer, I'll do weekly lives. But right now it's kind of It's not a whole lot to talk about. So when there's something like really worth talking about, I'll definitely go live, hang out with you guys. But I'll definitely have a video out tomorrow, and I'm going to try to get more content up on the page. But thank you guys for all the support you guys always show. Love all you guys. Be good. I'm gonna get my meal. But yeah, man, excited for the NFL season. Today's like the little appetizer. It's like a little tease for the for what's to come for the Giants this year. So we saw the schedule. Let's see what comes of it. Be good, guys. Have a good night, guys. Go Knicks tomorrow. Let's get a win.